Welcome to Snowmobile Sessions Live on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. It's the #1 destination to learn about snowmobiling, network with other sledders, and have an awesome time doing it. We'll meet other snowmobilers that share your passion and show your fan photos along the way. Snowmobile Sessions Live. Enjoy the ride.
This episode of Snowmobile Sessions Live is brought to you by Energy Powersports. They're Oakville's full-line BRP dealer with sales and service to all BRP models and so much more. Energy Powersports always has the fun in store with a wide selection of clothing, parts, and accessories for all your powersports passions. Make Energy Powersports your source for Can-Am off-road, ATV, and side-by-sides. Can-Am on-road Riker and Spider, including the sporty F3S. Sea-Doo watercraft and Switch pontoon boats. And Alumacraft fishing boats powered by Mercury Marine. Put yourself on a Manitou pontoon or a Widescape stand-up snowmobile. Energy Powersports is the home for Lynx and Ski-Doo snowmobiles for the entire family. Do you feel the energy? Energy Powersports, 879 Cranberry Court, Oakville, Ontario, or online, energypowersports.ca. Tired of dealing with worn-out carbides and scratchers that just won't scratch your itch? You deserve better. It's time to upgrade your ride with Qualipieces. Qualipieces is the leader in specialized snowmobile accessories, bringing you innovative products that solve the everyday problems we all face on the trails. From their durable, long-lasting carbides, Trailblazer ice scratchers, to their ingenious roller ski, Qualipieces has redefined quality and performance. Have a taste of their specialized carbides at qualipieces.com and take your snowmobile to the next level. Fan photos are brought to you by FastTrack Snowmobile Traction. This season, quit sliding sideways on the ice and losing races to your buddies. A FastTrack stud kit will help you with improved braking and give you the arm-ripping acceleration you crave. I put over 3,000 clicks last season on my Renegade 850, and I'll tell you, these studs exceeded my expectations. Not one broken stud, my Ida wheels still look like new, and they hooked up like I was on rails in the twisties, inspiring confidence every ride. FastTrack Top Gun kits are the highest rated stud kit at 4.9 stars with over 230 reviews. The studs are heat treated stainless so they are strong and they don't rust. The kit is lighter, easier on the track, and has a lifetime warranty against breaking. Each kit comes with a track-specific template for complete balance with over double the scratch lines from stock templates. All listeners when purchasing a stud kit can get a free install kit, a $30 value. Visit fasttrack.co, add both products to the cart, and use the coupon code SNOW at the checkout. That's fasttrac.co. All right, we're here with Chris Holmes Jr., Way Cool Junior, and he's doing the Cains Quest 2025. How are you doing tonight, Chris?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Awesome. Now, you're not, when you say junior, you think of him being junior.
What do you mean?
How young are you nowadays? How young are you nowadays?
Crested 61. Just before our race.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Still kicking, still riding. Yeah, it's still riding. That's the key thing. And we, for those in the chat and watching on YouTube or on Facebook, we've had Kirk Hastings and Penny on that do the Cains Quest. They're on a couple seasons ago, and you know how much of a brutal experience they had. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from a more seasoned gentleman of his experience with Cains Quest. And and how it all goes. I know it's going to be good when I get that giggle out of you.
Are you getting sick of the old jokes yet? You know, the age jokes yet?
I can tell you a quick story. I snowcrossed back in the late 90s, and I had one sponsor who asked me then if I didn't think I was a little long in the tooth for doing this back then. So I don't know what it means now.
Yeah. What is the age group of, like, what's the minimum and maximum age in Cains? Do you know what people are running like usually?
Yes, we had one of the fellows was, I think one young fellow was 18 and the oldest was 72 or 3, I believe.
Oh, so you got lots of time left then. You got lots of years of racing.
Yeah. He was, I'm not sure if he finished, but age doesn't dictate who finishes. Lady luck.
That's Lady luck. I'm just going to call up a little map here just to give people a perspective of where this is here. I'm just going to make this big here. So this is a map of North America, and in the top right, I've got this red arrow, and that's Newfoundland, Labrador. And then it's behind my head here is it blown up bigger. And then we've actually got the race route here. Oh, I did a smart thing there and put it here. So this is 2024's map. What do you think when you look at this?
You can't imagine, if you just have a look at the start finish line there on the far left and Goose Bay, for us Ontarians, that's like running cross country from basically to Toronto to Quebec City.
Really? And when you say cross country, this isn't on trails. This is, if I recall, this is ungroomed. You're pointing your sled and going, right?
Exactly. It's there's tracks and trails around, but they're not they're not groomed, and they're not you can't run rail lines, you can't run roadways. It's all bush and lakes, reservoirs.
Yeah. And so when do you start prepping for this? Like do you do any are you allowed to pre-run it, or how does that work? Yeah.
Sure. I had the opportunity to get there a few days early and did a short stint with a great racer who didn't race that last year, which was he was a lot of help, Sheldon Wiseman. But you can run it, sure. It's just massive. I mean, we're talking, a massive amount of land, and it's just hard to comprehend how big it is out there. They call it the big land. Newfoundland and Labrador, but you don't understand until you go. It's massive.
Oh yeah. How many miles is that course roughly?
Well, it varies. I think Chris Lacey would be able to tell you exactly what it changes per race, but somewhere 3,400 K plus minus a couple hundred K.
3,300. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
yeah, kilometers. So 2,000 miles roughly, I guess it is. If you're doing a
little better than 2,000.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And again, this isn't on groomed stake trails. This is through Canada's wilderness, and it's wilderness.
It's so vast and so beautiful, yet scary as heck and challenging, and it's everything you could imagine.
What would make you want to do this? Like, when did you start, and why? What's the reason why?
I've quite often questioned why. Life's, you only have so many opportunities to do things in life, and just life was in the right place to we owned a marina, my wife and I, and we sold the marina, and we had some time, some extra money because it is expensive, but worth every penny. And I don't know, it just was a challenge. You look at you think back in life, and I hate to philosophize too much. If I get too woo-woo for you, just let me know. But we all remember experiences. We don't remember day-to-day stuff, but we remember experiences. And when you went out with the guys on this ride, or you went with your family on this trip, and I think it was just about creating another memorable life experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to love snowmobiles and snowmobiling and country, and all that has to come together. But Yeah, and Cain's quest it's true to its name, that's for sure.
How did you first hear about Cain's quest, though? Do you have connections out there?
Not at all. Knew basically no one. And, I was searching something, and I was looking at some cross-country races, and I had done the I-500 in Warroad, Minnesota back in 2003, I think it was. 2001. And so then I started looking at that direction, and then I was just messing around. We looked at the Iron Dog. The Iron Dog was interesting. It seemed to be a very fast race, more of a racer's race. Don't get me wrong; it's still very remote and everything, but I'm not criticizing it in any way, shape, or form. And then I remember the Hurricane, back many moons ago, and I was thinking about that, and then I remember Cain's quest, and I just started Googling it, and I don't know, I got into it, got on the website. I don't know, it started to drag me in. I can't tell you why, it just did.
And then just to clarify, you said that this is more of an endurance race, is it? Like more technical than the Iron Dog, or what would be the standout for you?
Well, I'm only assuming because I don't have the experience of the Iron Dog. Just from watching, there's a million videos and YouTube videos out there for both of these races, and but it's very much any racing is in some ways, any game, any sports event is a mind game as well. But it's a challenge. It's more than just a race. It's more than just the race. It's about, a race against your own mind. It's so many things under one umbrella. It's not just, when you run a cross country snowmobile race, it's pinned as fast as you can, as quick as you can. There's no time, but just to hold it to the bar, right? Fill full of gas, get going again. That does happen in this race, but you're running on ocean, you're running 24/7, you're in mountains, you're across plains, you're through mountain passes up into mountains, way out on the ocean through, I'm from Ontario, and I live on Georgian Bay, and you get ice shivs or cracks, and they push up. I'm looking at ones out here, when they're massive out in the big bay, when you midwinter, you'll see stuff that can be 10, 12 feet high. Ooh, out on the ocean, it's everywhere, and we don't have polar bears here either.
No, and polar bears are fierce and fiends, right? Like the Rob, the oil guy, he says Newfoundland has more moose than Ontario. Did you ever come across any during the race?
Very limited wildlife. We saw, small rodents and whatnot, muskrats or whatever, minks or whatever, small stuff. But we were always moving too fast. But we didn't see anything big.
And then Bill McCleary says, I thought Cain's quest was every 2 years. Is that right?
Yes, it's not till 2026.
Okay.
Right away.
Okay, so you've got some time to prepare for this race and get your ducks in a row. But I see your sleds back there. Is that what you're going to run?
Not that one. We'll run a new one probably. Although it's not in bad shape. It's just I think we'll start with some new iron.
Will it be a Yamaha, or is that to be decided?
That's to be decided. I don't know yet. I first of all have to find a new partner. My partner is more than likely going to run, Chris Hilton, with his son, which is pretty exciting. And they're going to run, I think, expeditions. So,
right on.
I'll find a partner as well.
Yeah. Motorsport Channel says cross country with a heavy Yamaha. What do you say to that?
Well, expeditions are running through the race as well. You know, it's that's what I mean. It's not about speed, although you need to go fast, but it's not just about speed. There's times in that race, the most you get was 10, 12 miles an hour, 20 kilometers an hour. And other times, you know, you're doing $120, $140 on the lakes and ocean, and maybe even faster at times. But it's not a track. It is terrain.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and that's the thing. You want something like that that will do it all, and the heavyweight and heavier built might be the advantage there for you, correct?
Yeah, I that's the thing. It's so diverse that there were times when I wouldn't have wanted anything else but that 998 engine. Nothing else. It was phenomenal. And then there was times, you know, the powder in the East is a lot different than our powder. There's nothing to it. And you know, when you with that kind of weight, it was very difficult at times going through big powder, and got stuck a couple of times.
So you don't get much flotation on it. It just plows right through it.
Yeah. And then you were just praying to have a 600 twin, you know, nice Renegade or something, you know, 600 twin, it'd be awesome. But it's so diverse that it's pretty hard to pick. There's no perfect sled.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. Let's go see who's in the chat for a second. And then I'm going to get right into the fan photos, because we have a pile of fan photos to get through. And you sent us a ton of photos as well. And I know you don't want to be on here all night. So yeah, we'll just get her going. So Drew's going to go through it.
I'm going to have to read off my phone because we couldn't get the pop-up window working.
That's fine. While you're doing that, I'll pull the pop-up window up.
So we got LaPointe 800R in the house as always. Throwing Sparks is in the house. Says, good evening, everyone. Neil Owen, All Terrain TV.
Yeah, keep going.
What happened there? Oh, yeah, the thing. Uncle Buck, Chris Watson, obviously Rob the Oil Guy, as we said. Mike Gulich, the Motorsport Channel, who we were out with this weekend. Rob Overholt. Sled 519 says he just got back from Northernish, Michigan. The trails look amazing. Oh, he must not have actually been riding. Trails looked amazing.
Yeah.
Willie McCleary. Who else? Iron Moose. McCeleration Racing's in the chat as well. Said,
what did he say?
We will be there to help him out no matter what the brand he's riding.
Mike's a great guy.
Yeah, we had him on our show last year. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's who. I think that's everybody who's reared their head. We got 46 people watching, so. Sun was racing. Oh, he was at the Border Cup.
The Border Cup, yeah.
Yep.
Let us know how he did, Mike. That's pretty cool.
That's what it would have been.
Yeah, I seen some pictures there. Yeah, he didn't have time to play, but your bloody Ampon says, what about the young fella that helped you out to race with you next time? Sorry, you forgot the name.
Sorry, I missed the question. What about
when you said you're looking for someone to race with, this person says, what about the young fella that helped you guts out? Sorry for the name.
Yeah, that's probably Chris Hilton's son, and he races with his father.
Oh, so, cool. Yeah. I got you. Yeah, like I imagine that teamwork's pretty pretty important. You know, all the racers help each other out, and
the racers help each other out. That's where it's different. A different race. You know, your life's at stake, and not to dwell on that, but it truly is. A lot of times you're 100, 150 kilometers from anywhere. And, you know, if you're in trouble, and we were a couple of times, it's a whole different feeling when you're 100K from the closest anything. And your support team is essential. We had a situation, many situations where, you know, you have to run fuel or get fuel somehow 150, 200 kilometers away that you got to pick up on a return, you know, loop, not really a loop, but on the return and back towards Lab City. And it doesn't get there by itself, so your support team is essential in this race.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned your wife before, is she an important, integral part of your support team?
She was going to stay home. She writes, and she was going to write her book. She's writing a book right now, so she thought she'd stay home while I was away and enjoy her time without me. And she started to get into into Facebook and which is heavy in on the East Coast, because they didn't have a lot of communication. Now they have Facebook Messenger, phone calls, because it's all voice over internet, right? And she started to get into it before the race. I don't think she slept as much as I did, posting and watching the race as it happened 24/7.
That's wild. That's good.
Yeah, she was amazing.
That's great. Good person to have in your corner for sure.
Yeah. And all the people, all the friends and family in Ontario, people I never even knew. It was an amazing experience.
That's good. We're going to see some pictures very soon. But first, I'm going to get through some of the fan submissions that have come in last week, and we've got quite a few of them here. So these are from us. Like Drew said earlier, we had a great ride Saturday with Mike Galitz in Haliburton Forest, and I got to be back on old Roscoe. I'm sledless right now, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said I could take his 600 EFI Sport, or his friend, his best friend was the guy that bought my sled, and said I could even put you on Roscoe if you wanted to. And I went, yeah, let's do that. So
I don't know if the audio is going to play, because it's
it should play.
Is it going to go through this?
We won't hear the audio.
Oh,
they will.
Let's hope that's the case.
So yeah, it's not only I had to work on the sled before we rode it. We literally pulled it out of a sea can and and took it home, threw a set of B2 Stingers in it, and away we go. The other project that we had before the race was putting on the B-Power before the ride. When you ride with Galitz, everything's a race, by the way. The
race to JRs in Cochrane.
But yeah, we put the B-Power bumper on, and it's amazing.
I think I got some better pictures of it.
Yeah,
that was my crappy night photo. That was just before we loaded up to leave there. So it's a beautiful bumper. So much better. The stock bumpers on these sleds is criminally weak. Like, I remember I took an old one off. I'm like, here, hold on to this and just check the weight difference between them. It's like a pop can. It's barely aluminum that they're making these things out of. But yeah, so really add some color. I have some day photos, but this is us driving up to Haliburton. This is just outside Gravenhurst, where they've had the highway shut down the week before, as we talked about in our show last week. If you guys were in the chat last week, you would have seen this, or if you've been on the news, even watched the news in the past 2 weeks, you probably heard about this. There's an insane amount of snow up there for this weekend. So that's just a picture as we were driving up the highway on Highway 11. There's another good shot as well. You can see they basically had to carve the guardrail out of the snow because of how much was there. It's just awesome to see it. And this was December 7th or 6th. Yeah, like you can't even imagine how much snow. And we have more pictures of that disaster from a few weeks ago. But yeah, there's a good shot of that B-Power bumper. It looks amazing. The Lava Red's a great match to Lava Red Skidoo. And the bottom part where it's going down underneath the belly bolts, you have to drill 2 new holes right there. Your S-Mod
in the S-Mod. It's solid. I mean, you could hook a winch onto that thing and lift
as soon as I got it in the trailer and had to jimmy it over to where our super clamp is, because we have to pick it up and move it in the track. It was instantly I felt how much better leverage I even had in the front end. There was basically also added confidence that you're not going to rip your front bumper off. It's just kind of nice. Yeah, so it has the 2 on each side you have to bolt through, which is mostly, I think that's more for just the look of it. But the 2 on the bottom that go right to your S-Mod, and then the 2 that go right to the top frame at your stock mounting point, it's a solid piece of metal. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's very cool.
There's another front shot of it, so you can see how it kind of wraps around. I want to say it's the Adventure one. I can't exactly remember the name of it, but they have a specific name. And there we go. There's a good shot. So recreating photos from 2022 with us. I should have sent you one in to add.
I know, that's why I wanted to show the one from 2022 with the same similar sleds. But yeah, some good shots. It was a good day. Lots of snow, as you can see in the trails.
And there's Mike off to the side there.
Yeah.
His 900 turbo.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a great day. And Drew playing around in the snow. It was nothing like the 2 years ago, though, when we went with Jinxie and Corey Brock and the snow we had there.
There was just more snow in Haliburton. There was definitely more snow in Gravenhurst right now, but there's more. There was more in Haliburton 2 years ago than there is now. The snow squalls just didn't make it that far.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's another video. This was towards halfway point of our day. We were riding down the trail and came across 2 quads parked across, and there's a bit of a sled in the ditch. And this is a video I took of us helping with the rescue effort.
So we've got a venture stoved in the straight down in the ditch.
That's stoved. That's parked.
So it was good that the ATVs are there, and the one had a working winch, the other one didn't. So we tied the one winch to the sled, parked the ATV, and then that's me strapping the ATV. We had a strap in our backpack, and we strapped the ATV to the tree, and we just let her hang. The winch pulled, and we yanked, and
a couple guys, me and
the
owner went down in and pulled 2 guys up top and 2 guys below, 2 guys pushing, 2 guys pulling on it, and came right out.
Yeah.
And other than just a bent upper A-arm on the right-hand side because it hit a tree on its way down, honestly, sled was fine.
Yeah, and the driver, she was fine too. So, but yeah, and that's what we were making a joke because we were 3 for 3. Every year we've had to rescue someone out of the ditch.
This is now the second year in a row it's been a Voyager or Venture,
RX, that's right.
SX Venture or RX Venture.
So Greg DeGur, he sent in a bunch of photos. He says, "Hey, Gary and Drew, I missed the show last week about the storm in Gravenhurst. I was there stuck just before the Bethune Drive Doe Lake Road exit. He was there from 1 p.m. Saturday until 10 p.m. Sunday night. So register that, 1 p.m. Saturday till 10 p.m. Sunday night. It was a great time stuck in a day cab with no sleeper on my truck. On Sunday morning, I got out of the truck and the snow was over my knees." So he's got a picture of that. That must be his rig there. Oh, look at that. Like these pictures here say it all. I'm so happy he sent them in because it's like, there he is up over his knees. That's him standing in the ditch. And he says that there's a lane that's plowed by the OPP. We're getting to that. So there it is. Like that looks like.
Look at the snow built on top of the truck from just being parked there.
Yeah, it's just level with the roads beside. And that's the thing. When we were driving home on Saturday night, we were in a blizzard, and the actual bridges, the whole road looked like this ditch here. Where are we here? And when you hit a bridge like over Gull Lake Narrows, where he's near right here, you couldn't even tell where the bridge was. It was just the same snow pile along the side. It's pretty wicked. Like I haven't seen snow like this
in a long time.
Yeah. There's a sled. The snowmobilers are bringing goods up, which is really highly ironic because, you got places like the Township of Huntsville
and Gravenhurst
and Gravenhurst dragging their heels on the MOUs to open the snowmobile trails. And here we have an emergency operation and
they're begging for snowmobilers.
Yeah. And they're looking for snowmobilers to help out. But yeah, there's a path, a sled or an ATV or something went up.
Side by side, maybe.
But yeah, you can't. There it is. This is where he says that this lane was plowed at 3 p.m. Saturday, so this much came down overnight. The OPP rode by later Sunday morning on their sleds. Fast forward to Thursday, and he got Large Marge out of the garage here in Peterborough and did a few laps around the neighborhood.
Large Marge. Oh, it's a Titan. A Titan 850. Oh, 800. I was like, Large Marge.
Yeah. He may head north with his chainsaw and explore some logging roads. Probably not a bad idea. Here's a couple more that wouldn't fit in the email. He has the heavy-duty bumper installed.
We were blocking. Look, there you go. Qualipieces roller skis. Nice one.
I know. Yeah. And the bumper, you can see he's got a 2-inch receiver on it. It's kind of sad that for $1,100 for the winch kit from Polaris that they don't even offer a winch cover. And that's why I have a Champion one on it from Amazon. But yeah, it's that's a heavy duty bumper too.
Oh, that's what the winch is. That's what the receiver's for, is for your winch to put on.
Yeah.
You take it on and off. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty cool. But you got into some snow there. I bet you were wishing you had that in the back of the truck, eh, Greg, when you're sitting there for a day? Pretty crazy. That's a beautiful sled. I love it. Great color. And it looks like it's well appointed. So Lepoinski sent these. He says he came across some local folks down the river in Caledonia running the grass on Saturday. This awesome Tim fella put this on for his kids and buddies. He ran into some great people, told them to watch snowmobile sessions on Monday nights. Thank you so much, Jason. I'm with the boys out in the shop last night refurbishing the new deck, new plywood, and he replaced some wiring on his sled deck. So that's pretty cool. You ever done any grass drags, Chris?
Can't say I have. No.
No? That's
Well,
I think would be
not
good.
not official ones.
Yeah, for sure. So you call yourself Muskoka Extreme, the team. Do you live up in Muskoka, or are you more Georgian Bay area, like you said?
Georgian Bay, Perry Sound. My partner was from North Bay, or he is from North Bay, and then our manager Wayne is from Muskoka Extreme. He runs a ski school camp, and in the summertime, and he's based around Walker's Point, so that's why we had the Muskoka Extreme name. Very
cool. Were you affected by all that snowfall we had?
Yeah, not as much as they got in Bracebridge. We had a few feet though, but nothing like Bracebridge.
Yeah, it was insane when we drove through there. All Terrain TV sent in a bunch of pictures.
Oh, that's the quaddy bot that he was telling us about.
That hey, Gary and Drew, just watch Mike's latest vid. Go check out the Motorsport channel. Mike Galitz, you are awesome. You guys are already out on the trail. Wondering how that guy got off the trail like that. It was a girl, and she just kind of was following. And
1 minute you're on the road looking at the scenery. Next minute you're in the scenery looking on the road.
And that's what happened. So anyway, she was trying to keep up with the big boys, I guess. But she was all right. So that was good. He said there isn't much going on here in Wisconsin, but I bet my dang furnace is going in the shop. It'll be time to get things studded for some ice riding. Carbs fixed on the Rev, and then he's building that 777 for the 97 Mach 1. So this is a quad I mentioned in the last episode. Yep. It's a 2006 Suzuki Quad Racer 450 LTR. It's the first year for EFI, all stock down to the pipe. It came with a big jar of studs and the cherry bomb button.
Nice.
But yeah, once you get the Yoshi pipe and remove the intake lid, it'll unlock the race map factory option. Back then, no other quads were as race ready as some say. It's hard to find something that hasn't been modified for sale, and there's usually never any proof of said mods or even an hour meter. Are the 450 quads hard to find in Canada? Yeah, they are.
Very hard.
And he says can't be as fine as bad as finding an ATC 250R Honda, right?
The only thing you can get for race quads in Canada efficiently are DS 450s, and those things are nightmares because everything is on buds just like the snowmobiles are. So it's the exact same issue of, oh, you want to rebuild this, or you want it like a race quad you're rebuilding constantly. You need buds to do anything with it. So yeah, 450 quads don't come up a lot. That's when we said you got a quad racer 450. I was like, holy crap. Yeah. You try to find a Quadzilla in Canada, that's impossible as well.
Yeah, yeah. So the other photos of this is a 68 Olympic 299 single, which he's going to give to Gary from MUDBRATS for being such a good guy. He pinstriped the toolbox for a guy who's working on it for one of his customers. This is a very sharp sled. All new everything. He tried to barter with me on the part sled, which did need everything. Bucktooth drivers, haha. I have enough yellow projects as mentioned before, but for those who don't know, the lines on the toolbox are painted with brush by hand. Look how clean that is, eh?
It's like the one that's clean as freaking furries is.
He's hand painted all these lines on here.
One.
Yeah, and he says it was common in the 50s to 70s. It's definitely a lost art for sure.
Pinstriping like that by hand. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hope you have a good season, Kyle from All Terrain TV. Thanks for sending those in. That's awesome. What's the oldest sled you rode there, Chris?
The oldest sled ever?
Yeah. Do you remember?
I don't know.
Is that going back? Is that digging it up?
Probably one of those. long time ago.
Nice.
My first new sled was a 72 TNT.
Oh, sweet. Like a silver bullet or just a yellow TNT?
I think 73 was a silver bullet. Somebody could correct me, but I think it was 73.
72 and 73. They changed the drivers in 73 on them.
Yeah, they offered sliders in 73 too.
Yeah.
But yeah. I lost out on a 69 Nordic last week. On Tuesday night, I was working, and during my meeting, it popped up on Facebook Marketplace, and I got chatting with the lady, and she said, call my husband. And I said, I'll call as soon as I go on break. And we went on break, and she had to add mark sold. And I said, it's sold. And she said, yeah, the guy messaged this morning, and I didn't think he was going to come through, and he did. So I was hoping he didn't show up, but he actually did. But it was it was way better shape than the one I own, but it's the one that got away.
Well, the one we had was a rough 69.
Yeah, but you know what? It ended up being great in the end of things. So
Mike should never have sold the caboose.
Mike Galitz, did he send me didn't send me a love letter with his picture. So he sent some pictures here. That's in the morning when we unloaded. It wasn't busy. You can see here in the picture, the parking lot's usually jam-packed. Lots of, I would say there's a dozen trucks in the parking lot. And when we got back, there was 2.
It's got to be because a lot of people don't have their sleds yet.
Could be, yeah. And yeah, it wasn't busy at all. It was a great ride. There's the other angle of the parking lot, and you can see Drew and I just kind of getting ready for the ride. And the guys that had that bubble nose trailer there, they had the right attitude. A couple old Polarises
and the guy with me and him were laughing about this because on the drive up, we were following the guy in that ridge line with the little just single axle. It's basically like a garden trailer. It had a Pro XC 440 in it or whatever those were, 400. It's like, there you go. That is how you do it. First weekend it's open, get the ridge line, grab the gardening trailer, throw the old iron in it. Let's go.
The best thing is they unload these old sleds and they're all in good shape.
No. The two in the bubble trailer were new popos.
They weren't that new though.
They were decently new.
But they're all in good shape. But the guy he slams the lid down on that trailer. He says, "It's gonna be a great day." And I was like to Drew, "That's an awesome attitude, man. Like those guys are all super cool." But and then you got a picture of me playing in the deep snow with Roscoe, trying to get my carving skills there. 2 if you count our trucks, he said. But yeah. And then he got some good flyby footage of Drew and me way in the back there. And there's one of his drone shots. There's a park. You can see.
Usually, like we'll show up like first thing in the morning, and we're parked like where I am in this corner.
Yeah, we were parked right here last year, and you couldn't. It was all trucks all over this shot. So that's a good shot to show you how few people were there. It's a lot of fun. Once you got in those trails, you don't see anybody, right? There's an overhead shot. You ridden in Haliburton Forest?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Probably just point your Yamaha in the bush there, and that'll give you some good practice runs, right?
Yeah, it's a great place to stay too.
Yeah, Corey stayed there a couple years ago. I did not, but it looks great. We stayed in Kinesis Lake Lodge many moons ago. I was telling that to Drew, and it's seems every time you drive in there, it's a snowstorm, right? It's pretty crazy. But I don't know what we were talking about here, but I'm pissing myself laughing. It looks like Galitz is laughing, and Drew's rolling his eyes.
I know what we were talking about here. You got to watch the video to see, though. Go on the Mike Cooley's Motorsport channel. Yeah, watch the video.
Yeah, for sure.
See, we're getting a couple. There was a couple yucks to be had towards the end of the day. I hope that you include that in the video. We were cooking up some ideas.
Oh yeah, for sure. We got some stuff coming.
We're howling riding at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then Wisco Sled had sent this in. He says, we're marking trails for the Algoma Snow Riders. This is in Wisconsin. As you can see, Jacob looks thrilled to be riding a Polaris all day. He's getting my first ride in on Saturday. He can't wait. Brap on and join a club. So he does look very thrilled.
Oh, nice one.
That's a really good one. All Terrain TV is going to be throwing out an offer on that one very shortly, I think. Yeah. Oh, And then Massart sent this in of Wisco sitting on the old chaparral. I love that.
Beauty.
Yeah, isn't that a beautiful sled? It looks like it's in good shape. Yeah. And then this one is from Chris Watson. He says, hey, Gary and crew. So I sent a picture. I don't know if you can show it. It may be too small. A YouTuber mentioned how close the trails are to major urban areas in Quebec. So the map you see is Montreal. I put a little red arrow pointing to Montreal. And within approximately 40 minutes, you have access to a trail system, and away you go. He has friends in Montreal who leave from there and come out to his area. The other pictures are simply a sign that Skidoo season has begun, and friends start showing up by snowmobile for his get-togethers. Yeah, look at how nice that is. Nice snow-covered trail. Or
I didn't actually know the trails were that close to Montreal, but I guess Montreal isn't as big. Like, it's like where the GTA, like there's not a trail within an hour of it, but like you got to think of.
Plus, Quebec supports snowmobiling, so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, look at them coming in to see Chris. I love the sign on the tree says 90 as well. That is what we need to see, you know. And there they are, pop by his house. And here we're on to yours now, Chris. So you had mentioned, Chris, that it's a costly adventure. So that's why you kind of waited till you sold the business and everything. But do you have sponsors, or how do you fund this totally out of pocket?
Yeah, I mean, I had some great sponsors, people that helped out. I hadn't really thought about getting sponsors as much as wanting to do the race. I think this time, once we crest the new year for the next race, we'll work a little harder on some sponsorships and social media and whatnot. But yeah, it's pricey, but you know, any racing's pricey. I mean, people that race are nodding their heads going, yep.
Yeah, it's true. And even with the sponsors, imagine it doesn't cover it all, you know, at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah. But that's we still love to do it.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, right? So this is one of the Cain's Quest signs or posters that you had sent in.
A poster. Actually, this poster was given to me by when you they do a safety check. They do a safety. They corral all the sleds inside the arena, and you go through all your safety gear and everything, which is essential, very much essential. And they give you a minimum. But we met one of the rangers, and there's a bunch of rangers that work the land out there, and I don't know. He's just the people out there were just fantastic, you know. And he came by our hotel and before the race and gave me this sign. He kept coming back, giving me other things, and I loved every single thing he gave us. So
that's very cool. Is that where you got that bag that you had showed me a couple things, some swag bags and stuff?
Yeah,
and
bags and I think I sent you a picture of a trail marker, and like he just gave us lots of mementos. But
yeah, that's a trail marker there, is it?
So you only had those into a city or out of a city. So, wow, a Freudian slip there. Into a town or out of a town or village, because you couldn't ride in, you got escorted in and out. So,
okay, what would CQ mean on this sign?
Cain's Quest.
That's a good guess. Are you sure?
That's a good
Why
guess.
would they have to put that? Is that for the Newfoundlanders that race? Is that for Kirk and Penny?
Yeah, I guess they could forget.
They don't see ID for Iron Dog and think they're in the wrong province.
Exactly.
That's why he's here. He's the smart one of the bunch.
That's the racer lineup. Awesome bunch.
Very cool.
Good people.
How long do you think it's going to take you to talk Neil Owen into racing with you next year?
I don't know. That's why I threw it out there. I'm waiting for. Didn't see any texts come in. But,
yeah. Everyone in the chat. Oh, Brian Lynn from Slush Lake's in the house as well. Neil is in the chat, so everybody in the chat start working on Neil Owen. We want to see him in the race. next time.
I think you should do it.
That's a pretty big sign. I do it, but I would definitely need sponsors. You know, I think it'd be kind of fun. It'd be neat to push yourself and your sled to the limit. You know, I'll take Roscoe in it.
I give him I give him 6 hours.
Yeah, I can't keep a shield, the helmet shield, from staying clear in Haliburton Forest. I can't imagine out in Labrador.
Oh, you're
You know. Just for people, I've been to Lab City. I did some work there, and not that long ago, maybe 5 years ago. And just for everybody watching, can you just let everybody know what kind of temperatures ranges that you ride in for this event?
Well, the coldest, I think the last night, we rode all night from Churchill Falls back up to Shefferville, Quebec, and back down into Lab City. And when we hit Schifferville, it was something like 42 below. It was the coldest. But Sheldon had told me a couple of times, I can't remember what race, and Kirk could actually tell you as well. One of the races, that was the coldest it got. And the warmest was, -10, -12, something like that. But there was one race they ran, it was like the whole week was 40 below, day and night, or colder at night. We were fortunate in this race. It wasn't horrible.
Right. The All Terrain TV says, would you prefer a wide track expedition or something lighter like a 600 Renegade 4-stroke? What are you considering and why? Can you answer that right now?
That the terrain is so diverse. I think it's what you're comfortable on. Many of the riders, many of the racer teams, some had a Renegade, some had an expedition. It really was what they're used to riding. You got to carry a lot of gear, and you can skinny it up, but you need to carry the essential gear. I don't really have an answer. In a lot of ways, in last year's race, you might have considered, if you really knew a lot more about the terrain, you might consider a 137, but everyone's 146 tracks and up.
Yeah, so, especially if you describe that soft powder, you want to get as much shoe as you can on the ground, right?
And I don't think you're doing it on a Lynx Rave or a Freeride 137. I don't think that'd be very comfortable for how many hours you got to do this for.
Exactly. And I think, we got lucky because I picked this sled with the LE, which has a 1.6 track on it. And only because we were limited in the south with snow. And I think we did well. It was a smart choice, but it was by accident, because I think when you're running out there, you want to have a 2-inch paddle at least.
Yeah. You said you ran a 1.6?
1.6, yeah.
And that'd be a Cobra?
Yeah.
Oh, get rid of that track. Burn it. Just get rid of it. Terrible track.
I don't have to get rid of it. It pretty much fell off by the time.
Yeah.
Oh, so your experience is the same as mine with the 1.6 Cobra.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
The Cobras are fine in the soft stuff. As
soon as you hit hard pack, they start falling apart.
Any specific mods or things you added to the sled?
You got any pictures of the sled coming up? Oh, there we go. That's a good one to talk about with it.
Well, I think my favorite thing now is muffs. I don't think I ever used them before, but I think they're my favorite thing in the world.
I'm a big fan of them. Everyone makes fun of me for using them, but I love them. You can wear nice thin gloves on a day that's -40.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
They're phenomenal. The lights we used on the front were brilliant. I mean, they were Unibond LEDs. They were just phenomenal. We did some chassis enhancements and skid hat enhancements, which even the enhancements that we did, we had issues. So that's some, and a lot of people, it's very rough and hard. I think that's why our tracks took such a beating. So, sharp, especially the amount of lakes you're running down and reservoirs and ocean. It's not kind to the skid.
And what kind of things do you do to beef up the skid? Do you rebuild your whole rails, and like, is it basically a custom skid that you've created?
No, surprisingly, we basically didn't do tons other than beef up what was there.
Okay.
The chassis itself, we had chassis. I had a picture in. I think I took it out of what we did underneath because they were a lot of work. But mainly, stiffened up the chassis and you get a lot of, you start to get loose bolts around at the holes. It's only 3,500 kilometers. These sleds are new, but it is brutal on them. And I don't know how many sets. I've never had carbides snap off my skis before. I think we went through 3 sets of carbides each.
Are they wearing out, or are they just breaking?
Just breaking.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. You go through. There's so much different terrain. You're going through like plains. That are rolling, that are all boulders and rocks, and you got to be so careful. This is where why didn't you look wide open? Why didn't you do $180 across there? Well, you're when you hit that stump or that rock, and it does a little jar, like constant.
Really?
Yeah.
I got sick of that in the Haliburton forest, so I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And also, he said about you've snapped a carbide off a ski, your Renegade 800.
Yeah, like
completely lost the carbide.
But I mean, that was poor maintenance. No, but I wasn't relying on it either, though, right? Like, you were relying on that sled to get you to the finish line, and that's the thing. Little problems like that are just a setback, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I see you're carrying like a little. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's man and machine. Like, it isn't just you. It's not just the machine. It's not just that you can go fast. There's so many elements to this race. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I noticed this person says, I noticed in the race at one point you guys were at a small place called Makkovik. What happened there, and did you get help there?
Big night. We left Lab City, went to Rigolet. On the ocean on Lake Melville, and I could be corrected on the names, but Lake Melville, and then we came back out of Rigolet and went north. This is through jack pines that we kept getting these sleds stuck between the pines. That's how tight it was. It was ridiculous. It was a long day getting to Makkovik, and I think we left at about 8 in the morning, got into Makkovik about 10 at night. I think 10 at night. And every community was fantastic. There was a large Yamaha community there that were fantastic. Brad helped us out with getting some carbides changed, and then we hit the ocean. And one thing that it was a bit of our problem, that we didn't check the chassis well enough. We got about 20 miles out on the Atlantic there, and my partner's Chris's front arm on the skid just flew apart. Like, it was rough. It was rough going, and
wow.
So we had to leave his sled out there and come back in. And I remember asking, I don't even know why, Chris, you want to stay here and I'll go get some help and come back? Or he's like, fuck that. Sorry. And so we rode back in and went back into the center there in Makkovik, and Holly and the main crew there helped us. It was amazing. The two, I say young ladies because they were young, younger than me, helped Chris. He took my sled, and they took a sleigh and a couple of sleds, and off they went to pick up his sled, put it on a sleigh. And this young man, Harvey, who had a couple of Yamahas, took me back to his place, and we stripped his chassis it stripped his skid out of his chassis, tore it apart. It was a Viper. It wasn't quite the same, and gave it to us. They got the sled back in. We rebuilt the suspension, and it took us a while. We were gone. It took us about 10 hours, 10, 12 hours. We'd pretty much given up at that point. I didn't think we were going to go again. And help from, again, Sheldon Weissman and his buddy Jason, and who were going to come with some parts if we needed them. And surprisingly enough, in that Makkovik community center, we were having a hard time with our GPSs to get going. We'd been up for, I don't even know what it was at that time, close to 40 hours. No, not that long at the time, maybe 35 hours. I get a call. This lady at the end of the community center lifts up, the phone rings, and she yells over to us as we're working on our GPSs, "Hey, old Chris, it's for you." So I'm like, who's calling me? So I walk over and I pick up the phone and I say, "Hello." And I think it's Sheldon telling me he's ready to go. He's leaving Lab City. He's going to meet us, at another checkpoint. And it's Kirk Hastings.
Right on.
Me, get on the snow, get going. So it was pretty amazing, quite inspirational. And we actually were 50-50, and he wasn't having any part of it. Get going.
That's awesome.
Off we went with this bubblegummed suspension, which lasted the whole route. It was fantastic. And
nice.
We had to thank so many people, Harvey and his brother Brad, and Holly out of Makkovik. They were quite a group.
Now, did they have, do you have checkpoints you have to check in along the route? Or
Yeah,
is there just start, finish?
Yeah, there's checkpoints all the way. It's on one of the maps there. You'll see there's checkpoints every day. There's the main checkpoints, but there's also there's GPS coordinates that you got to break. You got to dissect.
So you have to go across those GPS coordinates to stay in the. And then if you have a breakdown like that, though, is there a time limit that you have to go rescue the sled and fix it and get back on the trail, or you're disqualified?
Yeah, I mean, technically we finished, but technically, we finished, but technically we finished out of time. So because of the time we had to deal with in Makkovik, and we made up some time, but you have to be in, I think it's 18 hours after the winner crosses the line to place. There were many teams that finished after us. It's a shame that it's a cutoff like that, because we were 9th to cross the line, and there was, I think, 14 in total that crossed. And they were hours and hours after us. But these guys, what they went through, the guys that finished 12th, 13th, 14th, basically rebuilt their engines top to bottom, blown to smithereens, and waited for parts to come from all over, flown in and from wherever, flown in and to a town, and then carted to wherever. There's no cars, when you get north of Goose Bay, there's nothing. There's no roads. People think, well, you could drive. There's no roads. There's no roads up there. It's air or snowmobile. So, or dog sled.
Dog sled. Yeah. That's wild. Bridget Holmes says, "Go off, Dad."
I don't know what she's trying to say.
I don't know.
But that's my daughter. I don't.
Yeah,
she's
awesome.
Go off is kid slang for go off the handle. Keep on keeping on.
She's saying you're doing well.
Yeah.
She doesn't mean to leave. Don't hit the exit button yet. Mike Leach says, "What happens if you miss a checkpoint? Do they dock time off?"
Technically, you get DQ'd. I mean, you got to hit the checkpoints.
Wow. So if you miss one, do guys go back and go, "Oh, crap, I gotta Like I got to go back and get that when or how does that work?
Well, if you don't go back, I'm pretty sure you're DQ'd. I don't think it's time. You gotta hit those points.
So you're gonna, right?
Some of the rules. This is one of the biggest dilemmas I think that Cains is having right now, where it's such a special race. It's meant for the the average man or woman who is more rounded than just a racer. You have to have racing in your blood or the desire to win, but it's set up to you could be a trapper, you could be a fisherman, like there's all kinds of things, backgrounds in life to run this race. I think that's what's special about it, and a lot of people wanted to adopt the ISR rules in racing, and then that would change everything. And is that good or bad? I don't know. I think they have a dilemma on what to do. They would get a lot more sponsorship if they did that. But it is special when you get there. You realize like the stories and the backgrounds of the racers are vast and all amazing. It's Randy and his son that won. Man, they were fast. What they accomplished and the time they accomplished it was amazing. And they'd run the race. I think that was their 5th or 6th race.
Well, when you think about that first place and you were more than 18 hours behind them and you were 9th, that's not too far behind in the standings. And that's a day later, basically, than what they finished. So they're rocking. Wow.
They were rocking, everything hit well for them. Their gas stops were great. I think they had, a few small technical issues, but everything held together. So much has to come into play, like any race, but any long distance race like this, so many things have to come into play for you to finish. We crossed the finish line, and Chris Lacey came up to me and he says, "How's it feel?" You're just happy to be home or back, right? How's it feel to be the first team out of province ever to finish this race in their first run?
Are you serious? Good work.
Good work, yes, but I can't say enough. It was the help we had, the people in Labrador, the people in Makkovik, the people in Lab City, the Wisemans, and family and friends that helped guide us. It's an amazing experience, and this is one thing that won't come across tonight. Is I wish for any friend, any snowmobiler that has any thought of doing this race, it'll change your life. Period.
Pretty wild.
Looks like we're ordering a couple expeditions from Energy next year. Expedition 9 Noirs, eh?
Yeah, now you're talking.
Do you camp in a tent every night, or bring firewood, or what is your accommodations like? So
no, you get accommodations. The race supplies it at every main checkpoint. The main checkpoints have a mandatory time that you must spend, anything from 8 to 12 hours in that center, and they supply accommodations.
So do you give them clothing ahead of time? And here's my PJs with the fuzzy slippers that they have at this hotel, or how does that all work? Like, you can't be carrying clothing with you when you're riding, can you?
Yeah, you carry some. After 5 days, it's interesting. There's not much extra clothing. I had one like change, and you have to bring backup clothing. You vacuum seal stuff, because if you ever went in the water, which many have, you got to be dry. You got to be able to pull that stuff out and get a fire going and dry off. We got through this race, and we were stuck in Makkovik, right? Holly let her wonderful people, gave us accommodations for a couple of hours to sleep at her house. And just so we could catch up. Like it was, I don't think it was quite, I think it was like an hour and 58 minutes, but enough to get us going because our stop was actually in Nain. I could be corrected, and hopefully somebody, if they're on, reminds us. I think it was close to an 900 kilometer day that day, and it was the longest day. But you know, after 40 hours, we just had to close our eyes for a few minutes, and I'm going off on a tangent, and I forgot where I was. But the bottom line is, yes, your clothing is that sink in the hotel or sink in somebody's room with a little bit of soap is all you get.
Goes a long way. Yeah, like these probably aren't like 5-star accommodations that you're talking about. They're like your no-tell motels, are they, or what or cabins, or what are they?
No, surprising. We had beautiful accommodations in Labrador, in Lab City rather, in Goose Bay, in Nain. Awesome accommodations. Churchill Falls. You'd be surprised. There's some nice places. You know, they're not necessarily the Royal York, but they are definitely clean and nice.
Yeah, they're nicer than the Royal New York.
Yeah. So just going back to your mods on your sled, Lepoinski goes, a big seat helps. And then Motorsport Channel says heated seat. What do you do as far as technology like that goes? Do you rely on that, or is that something you'd rather not have?
The big seat, you know, we had the mountain seat on our sleds, which I prefer. I don't like the big seat because you're going too fast to be sitting back and enjoying the ride. You know, you're pushing it at all times. The heated seat wasn't even an issue until the last night at 42 below. I broke a spring. I couldn't even get the bungees off of my bag to get gloves out for my partner. Never mind, replace the spring. So we transferred a bunch of gear off of my sled and we just rode it home. But that night I turned the heated seat on because we couldn't run fast. So it was the only time I used it. And did I need it? Maybe, maybe not, but sure did feel good.
That's nice. Awesome. And then there's another question that you've answered already, but William McCleary says, what's the coolest you've endured in Cain's Quest? I'll spin that around since you've already answered that and say, let's talk about the clothing that you wear. What do you prefer for boots?
Helmet,
for gloves, helmet. Yeah,
yeah.
Like it looks like, I'm looking at the picture here. Are those missions or are those oxygens?
Those are missions.
That's a mission.
100%.
Yeah. So let's talk about your gear.
Yeah, the mission helmet was phenomenal. I think the oxygens too. Other people wore those. I think one of those two helmets is essential for the race. You do. I wanted to run. Being out in Georgian Bay and unfortunately having to deal with people who've not been smart about or just been unlucky maybe on the lakes. I really wanted to run a suit that had some flotation. I wore a mono suit and I wore the expedition suit from FXR. It was phenomenal. I didn't want to be cold. But I can tell you 50-60% of the time I had the zippers open the whole race. It was just because you're moving all the time. And boots, I had a beautiful pair of Klein boots. And I think, there's the bunny boots are, some people had bunny boots on, the old Army bunny boots.
Army ones. That's what I hear is the preferred, right?
Yeah. So, because if your feet get wet. So I think, it's hard for me to really judge whether I had all the right stuff. For that race, I think I was pretty good. But, people have said the words to me, you should do it again because now you know what to do. But the next race won't even be close to this race. So we had the right stuff this time, maybe we were close. We finished. So that was the main goal. So that was great. We did the circuit. But the next time, like I said, we had the wrong track. We just lucked into that one.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, so it's interesting. Some people had full climb gear. Some people had, you know, parkas. Down goose. You know, Canada Goose parkas. It was all the above.
So that could change. You know, a week before the race, you're probably watching the weather, going, "Oh, we got to modify what we're taking." Like, how does that play into it?
Yeah, it's very disconcerting, I tell you, when you've spent all that time and effort, and in a couple of days. I mean, in 2023 they had it worse, but a couple of days before the race, it got warm, and the whole south end of Labrador, the snow went away, and the ocean became unsafe out on the east coast, south of Goose Bay and Cartwright. Was very dangerous, and it was amazing. Even, you know, everything changes, not just for the sleds, but for, you know, the organizers, and they actually, I don't know how they did it. The amount of logistics was unbelievable, but Chris Lacey and Sarah and everyone at Cain's Quest, how they moved and changed the route in the last day and a half before the race. It was phenomenal. And you're right. And on that course itself, you think, well, it's all melted, and, you know, it's going to be, there's not much ice. So the first day up to Shefferville, there was tons of ice, and it was like a normal snow cover. The second day, when we ran from Lab City to Goose Bay, it was pretty normal until we got near Goose Bay, when it was all hard frozen ice. It was ugly. You know, it was that gnarly black ice. And we got on the ocean the third day on Lake Melville. It was flat, hard as a pancake. It was awesome. And then once we went north, we were in feet of snow. Jeez. You know, it just changed every bit of diverse terrain you can think about, and we saw it. So it was pretty awesome.
What speaking on other things you bring, you talked about clothing and some of the mods. What do you bring for tools with you? I assume you carry probably some sort of toolkit with you. So what's your thing? Do you carry like a basic mechanic set, or you kind of just take what the sleds have, or what do you bring with you?
You're gonna like what he's got in the back of his tunnel on the one.
Is there a better picture of it somewhere? Yeah.
Oh, we'll go through.
We need to get through these photos. I just saw links. Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about the tools.
Yeah, the tools, you know, basically, this is the thing. People ask, well, what sled would you go with? Just what you're comfortable with, I think, is the most important. What you're comfortable with stripping down on the trail and putting back together. And what I did here is we basically stripped the sled down and put it back together, put the tools aside that we stripped the sled down with, and that's what we brought. You know, a thin version of plan.
I like that.
That's cool.
You have everything you need and nothing you don't. That's smart.
Well, in Makkovik, we're taking a Viper A-arm and I call it H-arm. I call it A-arm. H-arm in the front of the chassis. We needed a drill and bits as well, but we had to borrow those.
Are you taking extra A-arms and things like that with you? Like, are you taking big parts, or are they in checkpoints?
We didn't. We took springs, and I did break one, and took carbides and springs and a bunch of small parts. The next time I would definitely take some of those chassis parts.
It's gonna be carrying a whole skip.
If we had them, we would probably saved us 10 hours.
Wow. So this is at the finish line. You look pretty happy. It looks like you could go another 3,300 miles.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's interesting. Your adrenaline's pumping so much. That's Chris Hilton and I, and we are so relieved to be there. There was moments. Your emotions run high, 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 and low, 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 and that was a pretty awesome feeling there.
I was just going to ask that, and I don't know if it was Kirk Hastings that was saying, or one of the other racers that we talked to in the past, was you can kind of get delusional out there. Did you have any episodes like that?
Oh, Kirk actually was awesome. He was so helpful, and I spoke to him a few times. I met him at the Snowmobile show before the race, and then I reached out to him and talked to him, and he told me so much stuff to watch for, to look for. He was so helpful, unbelievable. And you'll find that anybody who wants to race, all those people are out there. I mean, Kirk's exceptional, and but it was amazing. You get so delusional. When it was 42 below, you're watching snowflakes come down, and they look like different things and streams of light. You know, the joke is that somebody came in and said, "Did you see the Smurfs out there?" You know, it's just like you're mentally like questioning what you're seing. It's
going on a
it's
vision
so
quest.
tired. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's what Kirk said, is that I think it was him, he was saying that the one part he just had to focus on a taillight ahead of him, because there was nothing else that you could. If you lost that taillight, you were gone. Like you were done, you know, and you don't think of or see anything else or know even where you are. It's just a light in front of you.
Yeah. And also like everything like that. I realized, you know, I've been very fortunate, and like a lot of people will be listening, been riding sleds ever since I could push the throttle, right? And every experience that I've had in my life, I feel like I had to pull out to run that race. And as simple as GPSs, like I had 2 GPSs, and Chris had one. I had a backup one.
Nice.
He rode my taillight because I was ahead of him, but we could have done it either way. We did 80 kilometers blind, looking at the GPS and nothing else. I couldn't see. It was snowing so hard. You've probably been out there. It happens here in Ontario too. But 80 kilometers on Lake Melville back from Rigolet before we went up into the bush. It was flat. There was no ice. You backtrack on one trail only, and that's the only one. I had luckily drawn a line out to Rigolet so I could follow the same line on the way back, because you've got all these ice pushes and you've got all kinds of this stuff happening. But I followed that line looking at the GPS for 80K, and you know, you'd get to one of the ice pushes where you could see your line, it would do a swiggle, right? So you knew that was an ice push. So you'd go slow, and literally that garage door as far as you could see, you know, maybe not even that. So it was, again, you pull all these stops. GPSs are essential. You can't run. You have to understand navigation to run this race. You can't just wing. There's no trails. You're not going to wing it. You go left. I mean, I don't know how many people said, when you get to the end of that bay, go up into the bush on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
The bay's 3 kilometers wide.
Pass the by walking his dog.
Yeah. Massive. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Ashby says, what an amazing story. I agree. And Don Maloney says, it's a great event. It would be great if one of the Canadians network did full television coverage on it. Chris thought CBC did it once or twice, and the French networks in Quebec put it on a few times. Do you have much info on that?
Yeah, no, I don't have any info yet. They're correct. But I'll have to say, I don't think CBC or the producers of CBC realized what kind of event it is. It's the human element of that event is such a story. They could do a series on that event, and it'd be brilliant. The problem is, of course, is the cost, right? But
yeah,
there's a story there every time they do a race. I've got a story. I could walk you through a story. Take me an hour and a half to tell you. I'd be in tears telling you some parts of it. I'd be jumping, telling you other parts of it. But every race team has another story. Even the guys who didn't finish, who crashed, and just how they got out, and it's phenomenal story. So I wish for them that somebody smart enough, like Netflix or CBC or somebody picks it up, because they're missing a great story.
Yeah, well, I don't. Network TV is not the place, because Dakar and Baja 1000, which I mean is kind of similar, long rally, long endurance, would be over multiple days, all have their own network. They fly their own helicopters and they take full coverage. I think Dakar is now under like the FIA rally thing. I think if you have like Rally TV Plus, I think you get Dakar now. But it's sort of like one of those things where it needs to be, they like Cain's Quest. They almost could loop a lot of these snowmobile ones together and have the same team kind of do the filming and documenting of it. But like the Baja 1000's got great coverage. Every single team they usually will do a documentary or a mini series with, or an episode based on them. The Dakar stuff's amazing to watch as well. But yeah, it's just, you don't know about any of this stuff, and it's just, this is all we got is just pictures at the finish line and start line. Like no one, I don't know what's out in the bush in Newfoundland. I just assume polar bears and trees.
Yeah, and Chris says, yeah, they didn't cover it in detail. I think that's the other problem with network television, is they're limited to, hey, we're going to tell a Cain's Quest story in an hour, you know? So here, I got to get out of
this photo. This awesome.
That's killer. What do you know much about the rider
here?
That's
a Rave going across.
I don't know if it looks maybe Team 99. It looks like maybe Randy. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. I can't quite see.
It looks like a Lynx Rave.
And what is the
137 maybe?
What are the helicopters? What would he be doing here?
Well, the helicopter is a combination. It's where Scott Grant was the photographer, and it's also for safety.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's helicopters in the air the whole race. It's one of the reasons why they have to cut it off after 18 hours after the first place gets in, because you could be out there for days, weeks, and it's pretty expensive to run those copters and everything. And trust me, they were used. There was an accident that we came upon. My partner, phenomenal guy and a medic. He works in the mines and he runs the safety in mines. And we came across Team 77, and they had a massive crash, horrible crash, endoed. We didn't see the crash, but Daniel, he was not in good shape, and so we stopped. His partner was trying to make him comfortable. Gordon, he was trying to make him comfortable, and we got everything kind of set up around the winds. It's one of those days, the wind's blowing at like 30, 40K from the side, snow's blowing, and this guy's hurt. We don't know how bad. He had a cut in his head that put blood all around the snow. So you think, like, you see blood, and it's you don't know. He actually, I can't remember exactly. I think he might have had some ribs, an arm, shoulder, no internal injuries though, but he was banged up really bad, and we didn't know. But we got them all settled, and then every team runs 2 transponders for safety, right? So it was a distress call. So I ran the distress call. Chris took care of his patient, Dan, and we ended up their safety team was only like 10 miles out, so they knew he crashed. They actually his crew, they had fuel for them. The next stop, they came back. And they took over and allowed us to take off. But apparently he wasn't there much longer, and the helicopter got there, and they airlifted him out.
Wow. Are the crews free to come on the course anytime, or do they have to get clearance for that?
No, they're out there too. There's only one path, and they're out there as well.
So can you tell the difference between the crew and a racer, and are your crew different color or wearing different clothing that
Yeah, the biggest difference is most of them are pulling a sleigh. I mean, they got to be taking something. There's so much fuel. I can imagine. I'll give you an example. Jason, Sheldon Wiseman and his buddy Jason, to give us fuel at Border Beacon, and you can see that on the map, Border Beacon. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's a beacon that they used to use for the Air Force in Lab City, and in Goose Bay, rather, sorry. And we ran down from Nain and then inland. We were pretty much out of fuel, but just south of Border Beacon, which was Sheldon ran from Churchill Falls, spent the night around 10, 11 o'clock at night. They camped, set up tent and everything, left some fuel and some Red Bull there, and continued another 100K. It was exactly like 102 kilometers. So he pretty much ran 300 kilometers to have fuel for us. And he wasn't the only one. Everyone had to have fuel up there. So all these teams, they work so hard, a lot harder, just like you see here, but in the middle of nowhere. That's on Lake Melville. That's the ocean. That's the inlet into Goose Bay. But
Wow.
It's about 100 and from the open ocean, I'm guessing you can look it up on the map, to wriggle it, it's probably 120 kilometers, but the open ocean is probably a couple hundred kilometers. But if you look in the background, that's what's amazing is that's I think one of the beacons you have to run through, but that's mountains in the background, right?
Yeah.
That's the Mealy Mountains. I'm assuming it's the Mealy Mountains. I may be wrong, but I'm assuming. And like they look like, looks like the shore, right?
Looks like hills. Yeah. It doesn't look big at all. Yeah.
So
beautiful. For safety wise, Brian Lynn asked, do you guys wear tech vests? Yeah,
this old guy wore tech vest, knee pads, elbow pads, for sure. It's mandatory to have a tech vest or something of the same deal.
Yeah. Now, do you have gas on your sled, or do you stash it, or do you just rely on the crew to bring it to you when you need it?
We ran trail tanks, larger tanks on our sleds. So instead of having whatever it is, 33 liters, we had 45. We changed the fuel tanks. Then we had the ability to run another 60 liters on the sleds. We actually got laughed at, to be quite frank, by local people who said, "You're not doing that."
Really?
So we didn't know, because we didn't know how far we'd have to go, and we didn't have a big enough crew to handle Labrador. And that's why I can't say enough. Sheldon coming up, giving us fuel, was the biggest stint. We would run a 5-gallon or 20-liter Jerry, or that same little spot behind the seat had enough room for a 10-liter Jerry. So
yeah,
we also did a tune, which gave us better fuel mileage. But yes, the safety, having gas was a must.
Yeah. And then about the Throwing Sparks asked, did you carry a satellite phone? What do you have for communication?
So running the GPSs, and we had a small inReach paired with our cell phones. So yeah, essential. There's no communication whatsoever. The only communication is through satellite. You could have a satellite phone.
Yep. inReach is like a spot, is it?
Yeah, it's basically, it gives you the ability to text. So
okay,
it gives you the ability or you can get inReach on your, like a Garmin GPSs. Some of them have inReach built in, and so it gives you the ability to text to your group.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
There, that shows you the loneliness of it all.
Yeah. Lonely yet so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a backcountry XRS.
Do you get time to smell the flowers, enjoy the scenery, or are you more focused on finishing? I guess if it's not really a race to, you just want to finish, right? You don't necessarily going to finish first. Do you get the opportunity to sit back and go, wow, or does it just kind of hit you?
I think, the most beautiful sights I've seen in my life were leaving Nain. We finished at I think we left at 4:37 in the morning. We had a quick pit stop that was set up for us in a fellow's garage. It was phenomenal. We were out of there probably at 4:56, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, and we ran the ocean down to Natashwish, and that was the most beautiful area I'd seen in my life. And when you're out on the open like that, and on the lakes or ocean, you have time to look around a little bit, or at least take it in. Watching the glow of the sun come up behind the mountains beyond, out on the ocean beyond us. There were islands out on the mountains. The most spectacular views I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, nice. Keith 63060 says, how about carrying oil? I mean, you were on a 4-stroke, but the guys on 2 strokes, do they wait for the oil with their gas, or are they carrying some on the sleds?
Yeah, they gotta carry it all. They gotta bring it all. Now, hopefully your checkpoint or your crews, if they're this is the thing, my opinion is that you need, I would like to see, if we go again, I would like to see teaming up with another team or two. And I saw that happen in this race, so that you can share crews, because it's such a vast territory that it's, to have a crew for your team, they can't possibly, it's so vast, the crew can never stay ahead of you. It's not possible. So yes, to answer your question though, you need to bring everything.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, this one. Yeah, there's a helicopter again. That's pretty cool. That's 99, Team 99.
Yeah. That's the winning team right there.
Is it really? Right on.
Yeah.
And those are 2 strokes.
Yeah. Those, and just to give you an example, I don't have my facts correct, but they're close. Those sleds, I believe, are 10-year-old sleds. But when you got close enough to them, they're made to be 10-year-old chassis, but those were built from the ground up. Like
all new. Yeah. 10-year-old panels on them. 10-year-old plastic panels.
That would probably be a 2018, I'm going to say.
Yeah, well,
not quite.
You know better than I, but they weren't new.
Yeah, those are, I think those are 2018s or 17s. They couldn't be a year newer than that, though.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So
those
seven
are
year
like 30 seconds as well.
Yeah,
like in that lax picture, that's definitely just a Renegade. That's
not
not a backcountry.
Yeah,
but guys like that, like they're probably going for the first place, and they probably have, crews at every port kind of thing, right?
Yeah, you've got it.
Like how, I guess the deeper the pockets you have, I know that was one of the comments someone made. Sorry, I forgot who said that. But I guess Keith 6360 says,
I think that's the second time or third time it's been commented.
Yeah, big, deep pockets, but the deeper pockets gives you more resources. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, yes, of course. Like anything, the more money you have, but it doesn't mean you're going to win. It's not just about having the best, fastest sled. The first stump you hit, you're out, right? You've got,
like you said, there's a bit of luck to it as well, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of luck to it. There's a lot of heart, a lot of mind. There's a lot of everything. Everything comes into play.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. I lose my mind in Haliburton Forest. I can't imagine, Cain's Quest, 200 kilometers in the forest, and can't imagine 2,000 miles on the.
I hate
two.
No, I got a better one. I hate 2 kilometers of lake crossing. I couldn't imagine 130 kilometers. I think I'd hope the sled would blow up for some excitement.
Chris Watson says, I'm a big fan of Cain's Quest. I take my hat off to you, Chris, and your crew for the hard work and that you put in for what you do.
I appreciate that. I welcome anyone to go down that direction and just to enjoy.
Yeah, I think like, so how many racers start the race? Like, how you had that poster up, and what was there on there? Like 20 teams?
There was 35 teams registered. The max they can take is 50. And even getting to the race, 33 started because 2 teams, for whatever reason, one had, I think, technical problems getting to the race. You know, you got to get to the race. It's not actually easy to get to Labrador. You'd think we'd have a good highway there, but it's not the easiest.
That's the thing. If you're trailer and sleds and stuff, when I went, I flew into Montreal, and then we got on a twin turboprop and flew into Lab City, and I can't imagine. I mean, it's barren land. I think you've got some pictures coming up, but it's exactly the way I remember it. You know,
it's pretty raw.
So is this a Toronto show that you're at?
Yeah, this was at the Toronto show this year. Mike from Acceleration Racing, he was phenomenal for us. We didn't even know Mike. He supplied me with some awesome wheels. He's got some great products, and then he supported us in social media better than we could ever think of doing. We got to smarten up for the next race there, and this was the first time I physically met him. We actually, a week or so ago, just had dinner in Calgary. He's from Calgary, but he was down doing the show. So
we have had him on the podcast. He's a great guy, and he gave us hats and stuff to give away at the Lodge Sessions poker run last year. Really awesome. And I was going to say, you must have his billet wheels and suspension components. Yeah.
Those wheels took a beating.
And he'll appreciate this, because I just brought it up again on Saturday when we were out riding. I always talk about he showed us a picture of the Arctic Cat wheel, and it was the Arctic Cat stock Catalyst wheel, and the skid has got no rubber on it. It's just a hunk of plastic. And then he showed the wheels he's building for that skid, and they're like a masterpiece. It's I tell everybody about it, so I hope he's getting business from it, because it's pretty crazy.
He's got some really sweet bearings in there too.
Yeah, his bearings are.
Yeah, he was saying about the rolling resistance on him is virtually nothing. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Mike says, how do you get your equipment up there? We just talked about the distance there. What are you using? Are you setting it up on a tractor trailer ahead of time?
No, it's not that bad. I kind of joke there. It's hard to get to, but it's not really that hard. It took us I think we got there in 21 hours. Just you drive to Baie-Comeau, hang a left, and you run the Trans-Labrador Highway through, Manic 5, the hydroelectric dam, which is, 3 or 4 times wider and 12 feet shorter than the Hoover Dam. I mean, amazing scenery in Canada, but we don't promote that stuff because we're Canadian, right? But it's massive land. But yeah, the drive isn't that bad. Coming back we had some issues, but it's not terrible. Could drive to Florida, or you could drive to Lab City.
Lab City's way better.
This looks like our buddy George.
It does look like George, doesn't it?
This is my brother-in-law, Mark. He does tattoos, and I had to do a tattoo.
Right on.
Awesome.
I guess so. You earn that, right? Nice.
So that's why I was out in Calgary. He's that's my tattoo. Very proud of this. It meant a lot to me, and it does to everyone who does the race. So,
are you going to get one next to it every single year that you do it, all the way down your arm?
It's going to have numbers going all the way around.
If I get a partner that's stuck on his number, this is my number, and it's going to be hard.
I'd ride with you on 44. I'd have no issue with that.
All right. Well, you have my number.
And then here we go. We got a couple of Yamahas in the crate. So this is your last sleds when you got them?
Yeah, I just documented that for you. You don't have to go through all of them, but it was just a chronological kind of, unveiling, and it was the best I could do, but it was
As you're doing this, you must be taking stock and inventory, for lack of a better word, of what you're going to change, right? You basically got a sled apart to some degree. It's easy to see, well, hey, this is kind of a weak spot. Let's fix this up.
Cameron Bai, who's our technician, did a great job. He knows these sleds inside and out, and we used to do snowcross with him, so he was great. But Yamaha was also good through CAT. They helped us a lot. A lot of people helped us. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. What do you? So this is actually an interesting question. I just thought of Yamaha exiting industry. You say for Cain's Quest, you ride what you like. What are you going to ride when you get your next new machine? Have you started thinking about that yet? Now that Yamaha's you won't be able to get a new one of these.
It's a tough one, because I can't say enough. You want, honestly, Kirk tried to talk me into the Lynx. Correct me, you'll know better. The Xterra,
X-Terrain would be the 146 4-stroke. Yeah.
That's
got the other one, the Brutal, which has the wide track on it.
Yeah. The X-Terrain is probably, and I agree with Kirk. Kirk was adamant that this thing is as close as you get to a race-ready Cains sled. So I think 2 or 3 teams ran it in the race. The second place finisher, Kevin Momot and Spencer, they were running that sled. Great sled.
Yeah, wicked. And I've seen some pictures with the happy face on it. Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, the happy face is everywhere. It's a silent sponsor that I have, and a good friend helped us a lot. Our biggest help in the race. I don't promote it too much. I mean, Gordon Bay Marine and Yamaha were great, and Royal Distributing were fantastic. But this guy Bruce Forbes has been a supporter of mine forever, and he just wants people to be happy. So there's happy faces everywhere. We left them in every town and every arena and everywhere. Every kid's got a bag of happy face paraphernalia. Happy be kind. So it's just his motto, and we've adopted it. Sorry.
I love it. It's Sledheads for Kids. Hey, Chris, it's Team S4K. And Maxceleration says, I can't remember, Chris, how many sleds burnt to the ground?
Yeah. I think one race team's sled burnt to the ground. I can't remember because we passed them. It was quite an inferno. And 2 of the support team sleds burnt to the ground.
Oh, yeah. You're in trouble when your support team burns. Yeah. Well, that's a button that you had made up. That's cool.
Yeah. Be happy, be kind. It's kind of, we've got posters and flags and all that kind of stuff. What was wonderful is actually, and we didn't take enough, is to give them out to the kids. It's amazing. And this race pulls the whole Labrador community together. They, like any other place, have their things, that person got this, whatever, over the course of a given year. But when Cain's Quest happens, every one of the communities, and it was a shame we didn't get to the South Coast because apparently it's just as fantastic. Every one of the communities really pulls together. So.
And they come out and support you and watch, and that's where you run into the kids, and you're like local heroes, are you?
Yeah. Well, you feel like it. The food, at every stop you have to stay a half an hour every checkpoint. The stuff that the local families and ladies put together, and everyone helping, it's just over the top.
Pretty cool. This looks like you have a Titan on. Is it a CKX Titan you're wearing here?
Yeah, I took both, and I have to say, I love the open face. I love the goggles, but I'm glad on that race we went with a full helmet with
the mission. Yeah.
That those new full helmets have. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, they're really warm, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is noise a factor too? Like you want something that's really quiet as well?
Sorry, I lost you there.
Is noise a factor? Like, do you want a helmet that actually, or earplugs that muffle the sound? I imagine droning on a 4-stroke after that long is going to drive you bananas.
Yeah, I think it's nice having the newer technology in the helmets is phenomenal. They're quieter. We tried to do some communicators. It would have been nice to make that work. That's the only thing I would have liked to have had, to communicate with my partner.
Definitely. I think that would be important.
It's just hard with batteries, charging, and there's no, you're not anywhere to charge. You're on the snow for 18 hours and like they're dead. And so it's something else you got to figure out. The whole logistics of the race and is
the only solution I could think is that you buy 2 sets and you charge one, because I assume the Yamaha, like Skidoos, I don't know about Yamaha, but Skidoo actually have a 12-volt like USB port on your glove box that's right in front. So if you always had one charging, and we use Uclear communicators, and we find even in -40 they would last for like 2 days of riding for us. So you could have one charging in your glove box, and when they die, the next opportunity you get, you switch them out. Yeah. And you just kind of do this dance every time you guys stop and switch. That'd be like the only thing I can think that you could do to kind of combat that. And I was going to ask you if you guys ran communicators, because I feel like it'd be boring for
it would be
1,000 kilometers.
It'd be a huge benefit to have them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into it a lot deeper for the next race.
Especially a mental check with your partner, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I always have to do a mental check on my partner.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. This is a disassembly.
It was just, that was the first or second time. Yeah. You're ripping them down, but anybody that snowcrossed or raced, and that's just part of the gig, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, you want to, I think, like you said, where you take apart the entire sled and take those tools, but also too, going back together, you're greasing all the important parts, putting a layer on all the axles and anything that's sliding into a tube frame. Yeah. You're going to make sure it's all better than what it was when it come off that assembly line.
That's the larger tank there from Trail Tank.
Wow. Awesome. Does it make your seat higher or?
No, it just takes out the wedge of the back seat, and it's fatter everywhere. It's just a little fatter everywhere. Getting the seat on, you got a little push. Like everything's a little fatter. So
how many extra gallons did you say? 10?
I think it went from 33 to 45. 33
liters. Yeah.
Liters, yeah.
Yeah. He's also convinced us to run the next Cain's quest. Oh no. That's great.
He's definitely coming.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm really excited for all the people that have talked about coming to the race. Josh there for sure.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see more Ontario competitors. There's a lot of Quebec competitors, a lot of local competitors. But it's great to see Josh. He's really pumped.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Brian Lynch said Skidoo's new helmet, the Advex, the communicator runs and charges off the helmet. Just not sure of the range on that one though yet either. But yeah, it's a great system.
Oh yeah, if you have the Skidoo Advex with with the Vibe communicator. If you have it, when you have it plugged into like the big, it's the E-Link, they call it. It's the big magnet on the back of the helmet that runs your helmet heater shield, your heated shield. It keeps the communicators charged the whole time off the sled. So that can be something to look into. Those helmets are pricey though. Yeah,
but I tell you, when you're out there,
worth every penny.
It would have been a lot nicer to be able to communicate with your.
And the Advex is a great helmet as well. I think you'd like it, but it's very similar to the Mission, but you get a little bit more field of view. And more Skidoo riders tend to use them because they're more comfortable. Some people don't like the look of the Oxygen, so now they've been going with the Advex. I'm trying to see. No, one of our friends, Corey Brock, who's always in the chat, he just recently got an Advex, so he could have sang the praise of it. But that could be something to look into.
There was quite a few Do helmets out there. A lot of the Do riders had helmets. Yeah.
What do you do? Like, you're 61 years old. What do you do to train and work out for this event?
I don't think I've done as many squats in my life as I did before this race. Yeah. I used to play hockey a lot, so you do squats. That's what you want to build your thighs and stuff. But you're riding so long, standing or semi-standing so long. That was probably the biggest things. I went to I had a trainer advise me not to do too much upper body. Don't strain the shoulders. Work on your lower body. Ride the bike. Squats were the biggest thing. Strengthen your knees. The knees, especially as you get older, anybody that's over 40 knows, a lot of people have old hockey injuries or soccer or football. But yeah, your lower body, you're constantly hinging on your knees. And so squats were the most important. And I didn't do enough. I mean, and I think, and I lost a few pounds as well. During the race, I think I lost 8 pounds during the week.
Are you eating at all during? I assume you guys have food at night, but you're probably just like very basic stuff, right? Just like carb loading to keep the stamina up, sort of thing.
Yeah, I had a combination of dried fruits and trail mix and electrolyte gel and water. Every time we stopped, you rehydrated. Like it's and that's essential, right? You don't last if you don't do that. And sometimes we had to stop. The spans were too far. We had to stop and hydrate.
You ride with Wings? Any Red Bull, Gatorade?
We actually did really well. I mean, Mike actually did the timing. Mike LaValle there. The second last day, we had the fastest time from Maine down to Churchill Falls, and it's funny because I only thought after Mike brought it to our attention. Well, the morning went well. When we got to Border Beacon, Sheldon had Red Bull for us, and then at his camp he had 2 cans of gas and 2 cans of Red Bull for us. I don't know if it works, but we had the fastest time of the race in that segment.
That's hilarious.
There you go.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was so fast in the Muskoka Vintage this year, guys. I was drinking
Hops up on
six Red Bulls a day. Heart is hanging on by a thread.
So this is the race the Sled put back together with
Almost.
all the race spec on it.
Yeah, it's getting there.
I love that back rack. Is that custom?
Yeah, a buddy of ours, Craig, he's got Craig's Custom Molding here locally, and he manufactured that. And then there's some stuff on the inside of the tunnel. If you watch a lot of videos, this chassis, the chassis is buckled at the forward, at the rear suspension bracket. And so there's inside, we had to strengthen up the inside of the chassis as well. But there's all kinds of different ways that people have done that. But yeah, you need that, the amount of gear you have to take, it's a substantially large bag full of stuff,
Oh, I bet.
And
Oh,
most
there we
people-
go.
Yeah,
see, I
so-
knew you'd like that shot.
Yeah.
Way to do it.
So our support sleds had those racks on them from Simcoe
Simcoe,
Machine,
yep.
and they were awesome. Very generous, very generous, helping us out there. We ran those on all the sleds, and it was great. Yeah.
Now, hey, what's that yellow thing down there on the floor? Did someone leave their trash down there under the Milwaukee pack out? What's going on down there? You know.
Your wife,
Get that out of there.
Your wife was helping, brought her own tools, did she?
I guess we're red Milwaukee guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's not. He doesn't care. I'm all Milwaukee. Everything.
Yeah.
That's funny though. Oh, those Sly Dogs on there you were running?
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
that.
we ran those. We got them from Royal, and they were a lot of help. You need to run fat skis, and even when you're in hard ice, because unless you got your crew that can swap out skis for you, the powder, like I said, especially the weight of that front end of that sled, desperate. Also, one of the biggest things, surprising, those mirrors, although some of them didn't last too long going through the pines, but they were very helpful. You know, how many times you're the difference, you know, you race cross country, and any racing you're doing it yourself. And now racing with a partner, it's actually, you know, a lot to consider. You're not worried about just you, you're worried about your partner. And so those mirrors, it's funny how a small thing helps so much, but they were great.
Yeah, that's cool. Very
Those
cool.
side trays on that were for a 5-gallon Jerry on each side, and they got laughed off the sled when we got to Labrador City. So
What, just because it's too much weight, or they didn't feel that you needed it?
way too much weight. So,
Yeah.
So we had
Did you have to change your stator or alternator because you're running extra lights and extra stuff? Does it make a difference on your battery?
No, we had enough. Those pump out enough juice. Those engines that we were well within the limits. Those LEDs, you know, they don't draw a lot of power.
No.
That was all calculated. That was Cameron By, who are our tech, and he wouldn't allow us to have anything out of spec. So yeah, they ran fantastic.
That's cool. So he figured out what you're drawing on every part of that sled and made sure that you're capable. And then does your crew carry extra batteries and things like that, or no?
We actually had extra batteries in the trailers and in the big sleighs that we'd run around. Yes, we had a full complement of a lot of other stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like batteries and skis and complete ski sets and sliders and bogies and, you know, all the above. Yeah.
He's kind of blocking it in this shot, but I see. No, hold on. You're completely. It's okay. You're running ice scratchers. How often do you have to use those during the race?
You know, it's surprising to me. We ran the DuPonts, right?
Yeah.
And we had scratchers that I ran. This is the thing. It was bizarre to me. Those scratchers were ripped off the sled. I had another set. There's 2 sets on there. There's also the wire ones, right, that come stock.
Oh yeah, the mount or whatever. Yeah.
Those were totally destroyed on the sleds. We'd put them down because we had a lot of ice. Do you know, if I pulled my skid out right now and showed you the sliders, it looks like I just put them in. Those things are phenomenal.
I heard DuPonts are good.
Just phenomenal. Like I don't get it. Yes, we used scratchers. Yes, it was a worry, especially when we had the melt.
Yeah.
But it was amazing that those sliders don't even look any worse for wear.
Yeah, I love the sled in the background there has the jerry cans on those slide racks. Yeah. And you've got one, I thought Drew was making me move because that one right there is for one behind the seat too. It would have rode really rough though. Like you would have been pretty much your weight on that, right?
It was, we got laughed. Like I said, everyone laughed. Way too much weight. We did have, you know, we had the shocks are all snowcross, basically spec. We've got, you know, heavy duty springs and so on and so forth. But yeah, you know, weight is not your friend.
Yeah. Did Mike Lavely help you with the shocks as well, or do you deal with like someone like Accelerated Tech or?
Yeah, we had actually Shock Tech did our shocks for us.
Yeah.
And they did a great job. Yeah. We actually, I think we put too much, we didn't need as much. I think we went too far on the shocks, but I won't get into that.
Yeah.
And you're running, so you ran the tracks for Cobras, they're ice Cobras, no studs in that. You're just running that just with the pre-stud.
Yeah, we put eye grips in, and that was you have to run.
Ooh, okay.
We were very lucky that we put eye grips in because most people don't run any sort of studs out there. And
so this was just a 1.6 Cobra that you put eye grips in. This is not an ice Cobra.
Not an ice Cobra. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, Michigan Rev, you did mention this, but let's talk about a little bit more detail if you can share. Is there any kind of tech inspections before or after the race? What are they looking for?
Yeah, I mean the tech inspection is pretty loose. This is what I was saying about ISR rules or not. They run a basic handful of rules. Stock sleds, exhaust has a certain dB level, so you can go aftermarket, but just you can't have a can, or it can be, but there's a dB level that you got to.
Yeah, like a quiet can, MBRP quiet can or something like that. Okay, would work, right? Yeah.
You can pretty much do anything to the sled you want to. The sled you leave with is a sled you need to come home with. Serial numbers are all checked and everything. It's pretty loose that way, and that's why it's special. I'm used to snowcross or cross country, and you got ISR rules. There's a lot of rules there, and they don't care what you do because it's not just about the sled. It's about you, survival.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot deeper than that. But yes, there is a tech inspection. The winners, but it's a list of 5-6 things.
Yeah, right.
And here he is welding up one of your gas racks that you didn't need.
Yeah, that tank doesn't have fuel in it. Honest.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Josh says to actually see the sled after it ran the race was amazing. You can honestly see the stress this race causes on a sled. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, there is lots of little spots. I mean, I'm not selling it, so I don't have to BS you. They take a beating. I'm surprised for a sled that's got 4,000 K on it. It does. Like I've got components I need to replace before I ride this sled. Like cracked. I don't know what it is. It's just very sharp, rough terrain. The ice, there's cracked and broken pieces all over, bushings, split, in the sled. But all in all, they look pretty good. We didn't hit any trees or anything. Maybe I drove up one tree, but it didn't hurt the sled.
trees are for traction.
That's right. Curtis McRobb says that's me working on the rack.
Yeah, that's him.
Nice job.
That's Curtis works for Craig. He's a local welder. Great shop, great guy, very creative, phenomenal. Yeah, it's great. It's amazing, how many good people we have out there, local, all over the place, right? That are just great at what they do and passionate.
So is this shop that you're in there, is it in Ontario?
Yeah, this is just at the top of Lake Joseph in South Parry Sound.
Right on.
Little shop. He does a lot of boat lifts and, like local aluminum shops. But the biggest thing about his shop is he's very creative and his design he's a big time sledder. Yeah. He's a dude, right?
Chris says he has to run. Great show as usual. Thanks, Gary and Drew and Chris. All the best in 26.
Okay. Well, maybe he can come out and support or come out and watch, have some fun. So
he might be there for sure. This is a ferry, is it?
Yeah, it's just, I kind of a little bit of the trip on the way out. It's quite an adventure. This this is part of the Trans-Canada. This is part of a little gap in the road that's in Quebec before you hit Baie-Comeau, and it was just pretty awesome to pull on, and middle of the night, pull on. It goes every half hour, and it's just fun. I don't know. The whole experience was cool.
Yeah. Well, it's like going on an aircraft carrier,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a picture of Teresa, who was a big supporter, her and Bill McRobb, which is Curtis there, who piped in, his uncle. And that's Sheldon Wiseman there. He's a big time racer. He's raced this race 4 times, I think, 4 or 5 times. He's fast and phenomenal, and from Lab City, helped us. If we hadn't have met Sheldon, we wouldn't have finished the race.
Really?
That goes with about a dozen people, but especially Sheldon. We wouldn't have got off the starting line properly. So we owe a lot to him and his buddy Jason.
Yeah, your crew is. I'm getting the feeling your crew is so important and integral on this
Big
run.
time. This is the sleighs they developed there. Sheldon there's only a couple of cans. We were going up to his camp towards Churchill Falls from Lab City, and he was just kind of giving us a lay of the land, just one little segment, so we kind of get our head wrapped around what we were doing or what we could look forward to. And that's a sleigh they used. That he can run, 6 flat. He can run like 6 cans of fuel on that thing at $1.40, and the thing floats about 6 inches off the snow because the thrust goes underneath it. These sleighs are amazing. They're poly.
Wild. Imagine that with 6 full cans of gas on it, and it's float. It's the hover toboggan.
Yeah, and I am not exaggerating. Blow you away.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah,
I love that. There's some of those open. It looks like open water, and you got some ice build up.
Yeah. What's funny is, like, a lot of Quebec, a lot of Northern Ontario and Labrador are, hydroelectric. So there's dams everywhere, and there's flow everywhere. So these giant reservoirs, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers long, and then open water. And at 42 below, heading to Shefferville, you come over a crest in the middle of the night, and you went the wrong way. And there was one moment that we crossed that, and not that one, but another one. And middle of the night, I thought, oh my goodness, this is not going to be good.
You were skipping water?
Oh yeah.
Jeez. Wow. With that,
we got off the wrong track. And if it was during the day, we're hugging a shoreline here. And we're just out scouting. But middle of the night, steam, you come over a crest, because you can imagine these reservoirs, probably, this is March, 1st of March, probably the 1st of January, end of December, were 8 feet higher in water. So all that ice, forms to the land. It bows, it bends, it bends down along all these obstructions, right? We came over a rise, and it was all icy, and there was no stopping. And my partner was ahead of me. He'd gone across, and I couldn't stop. He just pinned it. And 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, oh my goodness, 42 below, middle 100 kilometers from anywhere. It was not a moment I want to recreate ever.
Oh my God.
No. GPS. We screwed up. We went there instead of there.
If you find you're off of that GPS track, though, you probably can't easily join it back because of all the obstructions and forest and everything. Like, it's unfortunate the pictures you're showing right now are all open lake, right? Like, we haven't seen much of the really gnarly stuff,
Oh, there might be an example. We wouldn't want to hit that in the middle of the night.
No, you wouldn't want to hit that. No.
I would go down it. I don't think I want to go up it the other way.
Yeah, this is the Esker Road, and what you're not seeing, it's not a good picture because it's open river down there, and you got to cross it. So,
oh no.
So there was a bridge there at one time. This was the original road that was built by Quebec Hydro, who built I think I could be corrected here, but I'm pretty sure Quebec Hydro put in the dam in Churchill Falls, Labrador. And this was apparently the original road to build that dam years and years ago. But this bridge has long since died. And this is just the kind of stuff, the terrain that looks beautiful, but you're doing $140 and all of a sudden the hill drops out from under you. So
yeah. Have you ever sustained any injuries on the race?
Well, the one, we had two. We had the one with the team number 77, Daniel, and then I can't remember the Arctic Cat team. I don't have the list in front of me. Yeah, we came across and he coming down from Shefferville, it was icy, and it was you've been on those trails, those roads that from Shefferville south to the top of the reservoir above Labrador City, there's a skidder has pushed the snow out of the way. You've been on those logging roads, the skidder makes a mess. Yeah. Melted and froze glare ice. We had studs, but not, eye grips and full studs are two different things. We had some control. Guys ahead of us, Arctic Cat team, local guys out of Lab City, I think his partner had stopped waiting for him and he was hauling and hit the back of him and broke his femur. Like it was a mess. He had to be airlifted, but they couldn't get him out of there. So they had to transport him down to one of the dams. He had to stay there overnight on painkillers, and then they flew him out in the morning. It was there was a couple things, things happen. You're racing, you're riding, you got to be careful, but still stuff happens.
And you've been pretty lucky to avoid that kind of thing.
We were very lucky. Yeah.
Go back to that picture there.
That's just the terrain. You were on a trail from Esker, from Churchill Falls to Lab City, and this is the stuff that's in the background. People think, well, what's it like out in Labrador? It's everything. People go, well, I got to go to BC. I got to see some mountains. You should try Labrador. It's beautiful,
Yeah.
So.
And do we all get funky glasses like this if we race?
This is Chris Hilton. This is my partner. And these were freaking hilarious. I just had to take a snap. He actually didn't wear them for the race, if you're asking.
No, I imagine not. I take it a sense of humor is probably helpful with some of the things you endure.
Oh yeah. That's our Muskoka Extreme man, Wayne Corhonen, and in our portable shop.
Sweet. So he's out there with you as part of your crew?
Absolutely, yeah. We had four, Chris's son and Teresa and Bill and Wayne. And, in some ways they worked harder than we did, in a lot of ways. They were up trying to get ahead of us, trying to get, and we couldn't have done it, like I said, without Sheldon Wiseman. He picked up all the slack. Four wasn't enough, and your support crew is huge.
I think that's a smart idea that you have of joining forces with two other teams and utilizing the resources of them, and then you can just focus on certain legs. And I mean, I imagine this guy plans ahead. Like, what could you be facing right now? Like, I've watched a lot of Baja 1000 promotions and videos, and that's the same thing, is they try and think ahead of what you may be running into and kind of solve those problems before you actually have them.
Yeah.
It's like Wayne Gretzky knowing where that puck is before it actually gets to your stick.
Yeah. I don't think you can put us in Gretzky's class, but I understand your
Yeah, Gretzky didn't have it this tough.
Exactly. So just the crew, this is pre-race, just kind of having fun and just amazed by everything and everybody we met.
Yeah, that's wicked. There's some deep snow for you.
Yeah, this is Curtis's uncle, Billy McRob, and we were just messing around in the snow. He's stuck good, and it's deep, and that's just around Lab City. We were just messing around, just checking out the snow, and it just was a whole different. It was like sugar, you know.
Yeah,
nothing to it. Funny thing though, when you do one track over it, come back around, it's hard. Like it's just
like moon sand.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Do you run winches on your sled? Like, do you have winches that bolt on?
Well, I remember I mentioned the Rangers. One of the best pieces of advice that we got from one of the Rangers. These are fellas that they're not young, and these Rangers were, you know, they live and work the land for, you know, the province of Labrador, and I can't remember the fella's name. He's the one that got me the sign and things. He gave us this advice. He said he was stuck with his partner. They were out with a couple of sleds, and one of those rivers had, of course, subsided, and the ice had all broke in different spots because, you know, the river was 4 feet higher, 5 feet higher, and one of the sleds got caught down into the river, and it took them, I think they had to set up camp. It took them a day and a half to get the sled out. And he gave us the advice. After that, they always ran, everybody runs with a snow budgie. And I was like, yeah, I've seen them, you know, whatever. So we bought one. It saved our bacon big time. So I wouldn't go anywhere without a snow budgie.
It's a bungee cord, is it, that you can hook to your sled, and the elastic gives you some pulling power?
It's like adding you know, 3 guys to the problem. If you've got time, I'll give you how it came in handy for us.
Yeah.
So there's a picture further along here, and it's a picture of the Goose River, and you know, some of this stuff is just, you know, these are just the Labrador Mall and just things that, you know, you drive everywhere. It's just Wayne setting up all the tracks.
That's cool. We can go back and talk about this stuff. Lab Mall's got the Walmart in it. I've shopped there.
So yeah, this is the start of the race. These are the old Bombies. Like, this is pre-race, just kind of getting used to it. You know, this is us, the beginning of the race. That's the helicopter that was during. That's all the water falls out of them. This one wasn't too bad. So this is it here. So back there. So we get this sent to us on our, Wayne sends it to us on our Garmin's through the Jeep, through the satellite, and it said instead of taking the trail, we should go down onto the river. That's on the side, go. So don't take the green line or the red lines. Go down onto the river. So everyone's going that way. It's the best way. It's the quickest way to get down onto the Goose River. Now, once you get down on the Goose River, it's that river you saw there. It's probably 4 times wider than that, and everything's 4 times dropped and bigger. It's from a reservoir. It's unbelievable. And so I go over the cliff. You can go to the wide shot of the river there. Next shot there. Or you go to the next one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So we go down. It's rounded on that side, but on this side it's cliffy. So you go down off an embankment, do a switchback, go off an embankment, switch back. You can't come up. You can only go down. To come back up, you got to go 40 kilometers down the river, and then you can come back up. So this is only down. So I go down. If you could zoom in, you'll see there's a snowmobile on the river there, the guy ahead of us. Anyways, I stopped, took these pictures. I was waiting for Chris. He was just a minute or two behind. It was so beautiful. I had to take a picture, stuff my phone back in. I go off the first cliff and switch back, another one, and there's soft snow. Like, it was quite technical getting down onto the river. Get down to the river, it's all bowed in, right? I run across the river and onto the other side, and there's a smoldering fire. So obviously a team was there probably an hour before, giving gas to their team. I'm waiting for Chris. He should have been right behind me. I saw him as I went over the top. No Chris.
Uh-oh.
I wait, I don't know, 10 minutes. No Chris. I take my helmet off. No Chris. I'm sitting there waiting. Nothing. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, why hasn't he come down?
Can you hear, like, was there anyone else around that you'd be able to hear Sled, or is there other noise that you wouldn't know?
So on my inReach, I pull my phone out. I get all my stuff out. It's 5:30. This is about 5 o'clock. It's about 5:30. The sun's going down. I'm looking at that fire smoldering. I started to set in. We're 100 kilometers from anywhere. And I get on my phone, which runs through the inReach, and I start texting Chris. I start texting Wayne. He's not coming down. Have you heard from him? No. So I'm waiting. I said, when's the next? And the problem with an inReach, texts only come every 10 minutes. So you can't, it's not like it's a constant talk.
It's like Ocean Gate, for crying out loud.
What's that?
It's like Ocean Gate.
Yeah.
So
I'm not liking this moment. I'm feeling pretty helpless and useless because I can't go up. I can only come down. So I'm texting, and I asked Wayne, when's the next team coming through? The next team behind us? 3 to 4 hours minimum.
Oh man.
I'm like, so I take all my safety gear out. I pull the saws out. I go up into the bush. I start cutting trees down. I threw up some kindling, and I throw it on the fire. Get it going because I didn't want to lose the fire.
Yeah.
And then I had my helmet and everything there in the bag, and I rode across the river, and I'm looking. There's no way I'm driving up. I know now you can't, but I didn't know quite then, and I realized there's no way. I had to actually climb a tree to get up at the first level of where the sled we came down. You've been there on, I'm sure, lakes where sometimes you'll come off a little rock ledge and down onto the lake, or
yeah.
Same kind of thing. It was 8, 10, 12 feet off the ground, but it's on a sled. It's not that bad coming down. So I climbed up, and then I climbed all the way, about a third of the way up that. I tell you, I wasn't in shape, but I was so thankful to see Chris there, sled upright, almost ready to go. He had gone over one of the cliffs, come down, got in the soft snow, and the sled rolled on top of him. He was stuck underneath it. And it took him 20 minutes to get out from under the sled. Then he had to figure out how to get it rolled over. And it was in the snow off the trail, for what trail that was there, the hard pack.
Yeah.
And the snow bungee, he was able to pull to a tree and then push it over. So it helped him roll it over. And then it helped him move it forward. We're talking about an hour later by the time I got to him, at least, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. But that snow bungee basically, helped get that sled out of the snow. It was, it's just the fact that you couldn't get to him. And in the end, was it life or death? No, but you don't know. It's the not knowing. You're so used to having your cell phones and communication. Again, I wish I had a communicator. We could have communicated, even a walkie-talkie. So, but yeah, that snow bungee helped him there. And that was, I think, the third time we were stuck in snow. That snow bungee, that thing is brilliant. So.
Yeah, that's wild. A long-range walkie-talkie is probably better than a Bluetooth communicator any day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that would be important to have.
This is the gang in Makkovik, and that's Holly on the far left, and Harvey, who lent us the parts, which we replaced happily. Great guy. Chris and myself, Rachel, Brad, And the other three, I can't remember their names, but all of them were the only Yamaha people, I think, in Labrador. And we luckily broke down there because they helped us so much. So
That's terrific. It's like a family, right? Extended family for you now.
This is a oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on the town that was past Makkovik. Oh my goodness, it's on your map there. But anyways, this fellow, I have an adopted brother, and he's Inuit. And if I showed you a picture, I should have sent that picture as well. I was so delusional. I've been up like 40 plus hours here, except for that little cat nap. I thought it was my brother when I walked in. And he looks very similar. I show you a picture, the same beard, the same smile.
You kind of got the same nose, you two.
Yeah. But I walked in and I went, why is this guy like, it just made no sense to me, you know? And,
like, why is my brother here?
Yeah. So I had a good chuckle with him, and again, fantastic people. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's fatigue playing mind games, right? The delusion we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. These people just came along to cheer us on and you know, give us a pat in the back. They were fantastic. We had Sheldon arranged for somebody, I don't even know who. We paid for the fuel, but you'll see the next shot there, where that sleigh was just sitting on the ice in front of, I want to say, just bear with me 1 second.
Sure. Yep.
Sorry, Hopedale. So that was Hopedale. The fellow was in Hopedale, but this is Hopedale. That's the community center in the background. So we just finished having our half-hour break and came out. This fuel was here for us. I have no idea the people that left it for us, but that was our fuel. And graciously filled our sleds up, and off to Nain we went.
Very cool.
Yeah, and there's stakes coming in and out of the off the ocean. But once you get out there, it's there was some stakes actually, and some not stakes, but just beautiful. All that rugged terrain, rock, snow.
Yeah,
very deserted, I find beautiful. People look at me like I'm crazy, but I love it. So
yeah, excellent. You have to be a bit crazy and love the scenery to do it, I think.
Yeah, you know, we got some great speeds here.
Yeah, what kind of speeds? I meant to ask you that when we were looking at that Lynx with the helicopter behind it. It looked like it was really ripping. Like, what kind of speeds were you averaging?
It was so hard because there was a lot of it was rough, but where it was flat like that, you know, as quick as you could handle. I mean, you know, easily 140, 150, 60, easily, you know.
Yeah. How long are you running that for? Would it be like 160 for a whole hour or 2 hours, or how?
No, it'd be more like, you know, for 45 minutes, and then you'd have some sort of ice bridge you'd have to run over. You'd have to slow down. But there's a lot, you know, a lot of push-ups out there.
Yeah. Who's doing the GPS tracks? Is that done by Cain's Quest organizers, or are you responsible for creating your own track?
You are responsible. Yeah. And so that's where you got to talk really nice to a lot of people to try to get some tracks off people. And it's the whole navigation is a huge challenge. So
like that one picture back, I think we passed it with the guy doing the navigation for you. Where is it? Yeah,
that was our manager. And we were laying down some tracks. I had done a run from Churchill Falls. We were laying those in. Sheldon was helping us where to go, where not to go. Like I said, where we got off course there, the Cain's Quest kind of puts a point-to-point line in.
Yeah.
And we'd followed that and not the track that actually Sheldon and I had done the day before. The day before the race, and that's what got us across that water. And but yeah, all the laying down of tracks, you've got to have somebody savvy, or you have to be very savvy with you know, if you get any tracks, there's ways you can acquire tracks and buy tracks. So this is where, you know, the rules and regulations, people go, oh, you can't do that. Well, you can do anything. I mean, you have to have your navigation sorted. That's a long. I'm not really going into it. I'm purposely staying away from it a bit.
Yeah.
Anybody will help you. Kirk helped us how to do it. Sheldon helped us. You just, you know, people will sell you their tracks, but you don't get any from Cains. You got to work at all of that stuff. Yeah. You get point to point from Cains.
Yeah, and the points would be those checkpoints that you have to go through, right?
Yes.
And then you're responsible for, and that's where that situation where they told you to get on the river. That's one of those situations where probably during the race, your cartologist here heard that there was a better way and got that information to you. Is that how that all shook down?
Yeah. And that's the text I got, the little pink line, go there.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Which was, kids were great. He's got a little happy face bag. These kids were just awesome. Kids are great anyways, you know.
This was at one of the checkpoints, or is this at a show?
This is at the you do a full tech day, and the tech day you have all the sleds are in. They're more worried, like, you know, people ask about racing, you got to be tech your sled. There's like a few things, like I said. They're more worried about your survival gear and that you have everything out there that you're going to come back in one piece. That's what they're worried about, right? So that's what that is.
Yeah. Doug Wilbur says, how many hours could you run on the fuel you had on board?
With our tune, which gave us, I guarantee, 15, more like 20% better fuel economy, our 45 liters plus 10 or usually 20. But the 45 liters would give us, you know, I was getting about 300K, 320K with the 65 liters. No, I'm wrong. Sorry. I'm out of the tank. I was getting 280 out of the tank and then another 80, I think, from the can. So,
right on.
It all depends. Time is not really something you can calculate, because one of the biggest, like I said, going through pines, the Jack Pines, 30, 40 kilometers of pines that are we got stuck 3 times going through. Our sleds were too wide. That's one thing we made a mistake on. The sleds were 2 inches too wide.
So you would narrow the ski stance on them? Is that what you do if you're running those same ones?
Yeah. In some areas, we should have had the SE version of this sled, which has a 2-inch thinner ski stance. And I'm not kidding. We got stuck, like, you know, have to pick up half the sled and get it through. And the thing is, you're going through 30 kilometers. You know what it's like going through those Jack Pines? You know, you're just constantly doing this, and you always feel like you're going in circles. So, you know, it's hard to say time, because, you know, how much time it's more about the kilometers we got per tank.
Yeah, for sure.
You blow any belts along the trip?
Not one.
Oh, okay.
Right on.
Because I was wondering, after you're talking about how fast you guys are running for long periods of time, the belt temperatures and all that.
We broke in all the belts we used properly. We had all our spares were broken in. Yeah.
Sweet. What is this? Is this a trophy for finishing, or is this something everybody gets?
No, this was something that, again, the fellow, the ranger, kept coming to our room and showing us different things. There's an artist I think it's in Goose Bay, that makes these up. So you could actually have one of these made for yourself. So there's a bunch of artists that do a bunch of things for the teams. And just something to commemorate, the race. It's more of it was more. I was really, he was an older, very wise gentleman that taught us a lot, and I just appreciated every word out of his mouth. And he would bring us these cool things and the signs and stuff. He was just great.
Yeah, I guess the local artisans and the local businesses like that would just love this type of opportunity,
Yeah.
Talks about that.
Very cool.
Oh,
So
And
that's my favorite drink. And this lady in Natashush, she was running the checkpoint, and that's all she had for coffee. And I was like in heaven. It's a silly little picture, but I tell you, at 6:30 in the morning, when you've been riding for 4 or 5 hours, you need to hit of something, and then she has your favorite drink.
that's like heaven, right?
Yeah. This is Sheldon. He races. He's team 33, and he just had all the races. He had this little shrine upstairs of all his races in the past 10 plus years, and it was just nice to see somebody who, had a little shrine just like we all do with our stuff, right? And,
Yeah. You're building up to that by the sound of it.
well, that's cool.
I don't think I'll get as big as Sheldon's. He's got quite a collection.
Yeah, really neat. And so the one picture that we were on earlier, was that the awards banquet after with all the LED lights and everything? Was that the big banquet afterwards?
That was actually, they kind of do a pre-awards banquet. They do a pre-race banquet because less than half the racers finish the race. So if they had an after the race banquet, nobody would be there. So they do a
four
pre-race
people there.
banquet. So this was the Snowmobile Club, local Snowmobile Club, which is a lot of similar people. I think Sarah works at both. And of course, now I'm drawing a blank, and somebody's probably listening thinking you can't remember the name of the club. White Water Snowmobile Club? I can't remember. The local Lab City Snowmobile Club. This is their hall, and they had the kind of a little gathering at the end for all the people that wanted to show, plus a lot of club members, and it was just fantastic. The people are just you would relate. Snowmobile people, we all kind of have a similar vision and love for the sport. All these people were like any other club we have in Ontario that all get together and have great dinners and stuff. They put on a great little thing. So
and Newfoundland's got to be even better because it's their mentality, the hospitality.
Oh, great people.
Yeah.
That's Sheldon and his wife, and both of them helped us. So I didn't get into it when I was in Nain. So I'm like, you're messed up, and I'm going to bed, and I got to get up, and I got carbides that are broken. I got a bunch of things that need adjustment, and I'm not sure. I'm flipping out about Chris's suspension because we bubble gummed a Viper arm in there, and I'm drilling out with old drill bits, and like it's a bit of bubblegum duct tape, and I'm not sure how it's going. So we want to get the sleds in a place and just look at how they're making out. We got to race down. We got to meet Sheldon the next day. Sheldon's already left. He's in the middle of the bush somewhere, sleeping in his tent. And I'm calling his wife, and Pamela answers the phone, and she's somehow arranged the guy that I got to meet in a garage at 4:37 in the morning in the middle of Nain. So I'm like, I'm not sure if anything's going to happen. Like, is this going to happen? Are we going to have this person? We get to the hall, and the people that are working there that are releasing us, because you got to check in, sign in, get ready, jump on your sled. And I said, we're supposed to meet this guy. I can't remember his name right now, and I'm sorry. I owe this guy big. This fellow, Sheldon sent me his name, but I can't remember his name. And he said, and Pamela's said where to go and everything. And we get to this guy's place. It's 4:45 in the morning. And we've been guided here by the officials because they've gone and found the place for us They've come back. They guide us down there, and they got to watch you. You got to work on your own sled. We pull up to this guy's place. He's got a shed in the back, garage. It's not huge, but it's about the size of my garage here. And we back my sled in. He's got the heat going, the lights on, all the power tools ready. We're in and out of there. Maybe it was 15 minutes. Worked on the sled, did all the changes. He's handing me tools. Right? It was amazing. Just blew me away.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody from Adam, and the help was just phenomenal. It was nice and warm in there, you know. We had the radio going. Awesome.
That's wicked. Yeah. I can imagine that you'd be nervous about, you know, you're relying on them and they're telling you, oh, just go here, and it's 4:30 in the morning. I would be the same as you, going, okay, I'm going, but you know.
Everything they said, everything they did was double what I thought it would be. It was like, and I mean that, like double.
Over the top. Yeah.
Fantastic. And
that's amazing.
And again, Kirk will tell you the same thing. He told it to me, and I'm telling it to you. It's not a one-off. These people were phenomenal. That's just, last night I got the visor open a touch because I rode with it open most of the time, just a bit for the air. And I didn't feel that coming. It was just a bit of frostbite.
Frostbite,
The only frostbite I had. But,
that looks painful.
Yeah. That was the award ceremony at the end.
You can see there's no one around.
Yeah. Well, then we were just coming in. There was quite a few people there when they finally got organized, and man.
So as you come in, you're ninth and you're like hours behind the 8th person, let's say. The 8th person's already gone up on the stage, got their award, and left.
No, this was the next day.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. We finished that day, you know, I think it was the next evening. It might have been even 2 days later. I think it was 2 days later. I think it was the Sunday. Yeah, the Sunday night. They had an awards, but it's just the awards ceremony. There's no like party or anything after. It was just the awards ceremony. And the day after, that was 2 days after, correct. And the day after, we had the little gathering at the Snowmobile Club. So
very cool. So all in all, how much time does it take out of your schedule, like around the event? You went 2 days early, you said?
I was there, almost actually. I was there on the Tuesday, and the race starts on a Sunday.
And then you stayed after a week as well?
Yeah, I was there for pretty much 2 weeks.
So
plus travel, 2.5 weeks.
I'll need 2 weeks off work is what you're saying. Okay.
That's right. Hey, don't tease me. Neil's going to get jealous if you still listen.
That's a good setup there. What's that?
Neil's going to get jealous if you keep talking like that. So
Neil should do it first, though, and then he can tell me what it's like.
That was just Quebec. I just thought, you know, that's the St. Lawrence, snowing like crazy. That was after I took a picture. We had to stop. It took us 40 hours to get home because on the Labrador Highway coming home, if you notice, there's a kink in the front of that trailer on the top of the very nose. We had to jump. We hit a bump so hard, I know we came off the ground. I blew a rear tire when we landed. We were in 1.5 feet of snow. I don't know what we had, just a heave in the road. And we were at a Canadian Tire, and I was getting the goop you put in the tire to stop it from leaking. So that was for the trailers. The truck had a spare on the other side rear, had the spare on. And then go to the next picture. And that's in Pickering. And that trailer, you can't see it, but we got ratchet straps holding the axles and everything. It's done. It ain't going another step. that we hit the rock so hard, you can see it on the top of the trailer there at the nose. It rammed into the back of the sled. And the next picture will show you the next one. Next one. There's the axles. So yeah. That trailer was done.
Wow. So, did it tweak the tunnel on that sled that was sitting up on top?
No, I don't understand. The bumper's still sitting right here. The bumper's good. Everything's good. I don't know. It just wrecked the trailer. So
Yamahas are built tough.
Yeah, that's insane.
Heavy duty. That's Mike's wheel.
Mike's. Yeah, those are
beautiful
nice.
Wheel.
Yeah. Are they bigger diameter than stock?
No, that's the stock. That's the 7 1/8 or whatever it is on the longer tracks.
And you're running stock drivers and everything like that in the skid?
Yeah. The thing is, we put the 4-wheel kit on this because, I was just worried about landing and tweaking something,
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes, you do stuff. Should you have done it? I don't know. You're gambling always, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So this is an event we did with Josh at one of the dealerships in Aurelia there. It was it's a sleds for kids for kids going to camp. So he was just having.
Yeah, we've had Josh on. I think he's left possibly. He said he needed to leave. I'll talk to you soon, Chris. Great show. Yeah, it's too bad. He might still be there.
He's he's a great guy, and he's awesome promoter for snowmobiling and race series, and he's really inspirational. He's helping kids all the time, and he's fun.
Yeah, that's good. No, we enjoyed having him on the show for sure.
So, yeah. So he had all kinds of sleds there, but it was just a nice gathering. Nice.
That's that dealership that's right in the 401.
Yeah.
Right where 11 switches to 90 kph, Dad.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
right on.
Yeah,
perfect.
I don't know where that dealer is.
Yeah. So when you're at the events, like, are you taking donations, or are you just out there for awareness? Like, what is there? Like, are you fundraising for the race?
Yeah, no, not yet. Honestly, my biggest thing is to, I don't know why I've just got this overall feeling to give back to Labrador and to Cain's Quest and to the community. So I don't want anything. I just want people to know my experience, which, like, people like Kirk will tell you the same. I'm surprised, like, Penny's got a great facility out there. Somebody wants to go out and
ride. I heard that is on the bucket list.
Yeah. It's just people are always wanting to go west or somewhere else. And and not that there's anything wrong. I love BC. I love Alberta and BC and stuff. But there's this beautiful place called Newfoundland and Labrador. And I don't know. It changed my life. It really did. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's cool out there for sure.
Yeah. Oh, and that's this. I couldn't find them. I don't know where they are, but I wanted to show you those. I don't know where they are. I've got them in another box somewhere.
Okay.
Daniel's wife, because we stopped and helped her husband, made those slippers, and a different set with different colors for Chris Hilton, and a set for me.
Nice.
She shipped them to us after, a month or so after the race. Her husband's doing great. Like, everything's good. They're healing. They're good. But it was just a thank you, and they just showed up, and I'm like, really? Like, just so kind, those people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's all I had. I don't know where. I've got them somewhere, but I can't remember where I put them.
Oh, that's cool though. What a great date too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a good picture of you and your. Yeah.
Yeah. Post race done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So yeah, that's the. Everyone has to strap those to the back of their sled, and the transponders in there.
Okay.
They know where you are every minute of every day. So,
And that's like a safety kit. It's got cones in it by the look of it and things like that.
no, honestly, it's just, I don't know what that is orange underneath there, or why it's orange. Oh, is that the gas can? Maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
There's actually a transponder in there, and it's funny how you get things like this. You go through the whole day, the experience of tech and making sure you have all the safety equipment and everything with everyone. And they show you these transponders, and you're like, yeah, right. And then, gee, on day one, I've got to pull it out and use it.
Yeah. Oh no.
Never. I was fumbling, and it was frustrating. And it's these things that you don't think you're ever going to use any of these things. And on day one, I had to pull one out and use it for the other team. So
that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Or his partner actually pulled it out, but
yeah.
So it's you just never know.
They can teach you 100 times how to use it, but until you're under pressure, that's when you really know whether you know.
Yeah. So it's a very safe. I mean, they're safety conscious. They're very safety conscious. So this was just getting set up for Tech Day, and then they have fan night, and everyone from Labrador and all the teams are there, and it's really cool because it's warm. You're inside. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be really neat to see what other people are doing. And do you find yourself learn a lot looking at other people's sleds, going, "Man, why didn't we think of that?"
Oh, there was a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that.
Take notes. That's another good shot.
Yeah. Well, these are Scots. I can't take them for me.
Yeah.
That's Sarah Hoopson, and she's I don't know her title. There's Chris Lacey, and then her. She's like one of the main people that organizes Cains. And I'm sorry, Sarah, if you hear me, but she's a wonderful person, like everyone else there, and she's very endearing and very. The stuff they have to, with any race committee, the stuff they have to put up with like not everyone's as nice as me.
Yeah, true. I bet you get like the monster bride,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. There'd be a lot of egos you got to deal with when you're dealing with an event like this.
Yeah. It was kind of embarrassing here. They put you up on the stage, and every team walked out and they cheer and everything. You feel, they make you feel like a rock star, and then you go back home and you're just who you are, and you get the broom back in your hand, you're sweeping the floor. But that night you felt like a rock star.
That's cool.
So
it's a big deal though. Like this is a cool photo. It'd be just neat to be there and feel the excitement that's going on right now.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Do you do any local events as far as the races go? And you had said about the I-500, but that's actually in
Michigan.
Yeah, in Michigan. Like, do you do anything? The Muskoka has a 500 series that just started.
Yeah, well, Josh is setting something up there, so I'm not too sure. I'm not into, like, when I snowcrossed, doing doubles and triples were huge. Blair Morgan was running then. And now you go to a snowcross race, and they're like motocross races. The sleds are 37 feet in the air, and I am getting too long in the tooth for that stuff. So. Oh
yeah. When they do the start, this is obviously the start of the race, is it?
Yes, this is us on the line. We're next. We were fourth off the line. On the lottery.
How much time between teams?
1 minute.
1 minute? Wow. So you're probably, are you getting passed right out of the gate? Are you passing other people right out of the gate?
We had a great start. I think, I'm not 100%. I never could figure out, but I think there's a checkpoint that's they set up about 40 kilometers up the lake from Lab City. I think we were first leaving that checkpoint. We did really well. That's another stage we did really well. That's very where cool. That kind of power under your hood, and this is what I mean when I was saying you can't have the perfect sled, because that stage, day 4 stage, you know, we had a lot of open throttle periods, which we could really kick
the sidewinder shone in that environment. Yeah.
But then you get into, you know, pines and 3 feet of snow, and it's a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of left, right, you know, where, you know, so there's no perfect sled.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that's Chris just racing somewhere across the lake.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And the night, like you obviously have accommodations to stay at night. How many hours of dark are you running?
Well, there's no day and night. It's basically leg 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So
right.
The first leg, you know, we started at, I think, I can't remember when we got in from Shefferville the first time. It had to be around, it wasn't too late, about 6 at night or 6. Yeah, it's probably 7 or something. I can't remember exactly. So we had a 12-hour turnaround, or it might have been 10-hour. I think it was 10-hour. And then I'm not sure. I can't remember now. But you do the first leg. So if the next leg takes 14 hours, then, you know, you're into night. And then there was a couple times we were up all night. There was twice we were up all night throughout the ride. And, you know, there's 5 nights, but there's 5 nights. Yeah. Over 6 days. The last day is like a half day. So it's, but the last stop, you only get 8 hours. It sounds like a lot, but by the time you get your stuff ready I didn't even sleep the last night. That was one of the problems making it into Lab City, was I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep that day. So, you know, we went 40 hours, I got 12 hours, and then you go another day and then another night. We got in around 9:30 in the morning in Lab City, 9:30, 10 in the morning, something like that. And
wow.
Yeah, you're sleep deprived. You know, it's a 24/7 race with breaks.
Yeah, true. I wouldn't sleep. Like, I don't sleep well when I go away usually, right? So I can imagine, especially with the race mode on, you know, how that is. Is this during the race you stop to pose for this, or is this after?
Well, we're stopped. You don't see my lungs pumping here, but they were pumping pretty hard. I probably just finished a gel pack and some trail mix. What you're not seeing is up in the bush to the left of that picture, Chris got stuck. Then I got stuck 3 times.
Oh no!
My sled up a tree. I swore quite a bit. The snow was just dropped out from under me. This was a sequence of chaos. And then we got out in the lake, stopped, had something to drink, and Scott Grant had come in with the helicopter and stopped, ran out, took a picture, ran back in the helicopter and took off. So we just happened to be stopped. Yeah.
Oh, so, man.
This is where the first time that snow bungee came in handy. So
very cool.
Yeah. This is us getting into Goose Bay. We had quite a this is other than finishing, I think this was the most excited I was to get to a place after the Goose River and whatnot. It was cold, but it was I don't know. It just was I've heard it from a few racers. How you place going into Goose Bay is generally half of those people.
You're going to finish it, yeah.
The ones that are going to finish in place in the race. So
yeah, wow.
So
and Goose Bay is halfway, or whereabouts is it?
Goose Bay. Well, traditionally, this was the second day. It was supposed to be the first day, but because of the weather, they had to change out. This ended up being day 2. But it doesn't matter, and I understand why. you think it's like here to Quebec City, Toronto to Quebec City, Georgian Bay to Quebec City.
Yeah.
But it is very rough, very technical, very rough. Yeah.
All Terrain TV says, what gel pack are you talking about? I've only ever used liquid powder packets.
I could get one for you, but I don't have one. I could show you, but it'll take me 10 seconds to grab if you want.
Yeah, if you want to go grab one, that'd be cool. Good question there.
They're just these. They're just an energy gel pack.
There we go. And how many would you have on those on your body at one time?
I had at least probably three or four a day. My son put me onto them, and actually, I don't know if they worked or not, but I felt the whole ride, like you mentioned, or not a spring chicken, and I felt great. Most of the ride, other than when we got stuck, and like you do anyways. I pretty much paced myself. I was afraid, to overhydrate, and have to go to the wash when riding. Quite often,
True.
I'm in the Haliburton forest, and you have 3 extra coffees before you leave the cabin, and then you got to stop 6 times, right? I was afraid of that. It never happened. But no, those were great. Trail mix, and you got to do your own thing. I had dried fruit and water.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So
every
stop.
Do you have to worry about those gel packets freezing?
I always kept those on my body. Like I kept them inside. I always kept
warm. Yeah.
Yeah, those inside, because they didn't break or anything. I had extra runs on the sled, but if they were in my little pack in front, I would then, when I took one, I'd take one out, use it, and I would take the other one, put it in my suit, so it'd be warm for the next stop. So.
Yeah. Wow. Is this a checkpoint? It seems to be very dark at night, or is this in the morning?
Yeah, that's still Goose Bay.
Neat.
I had friends of friends actually come up to me at some of those and just say, "Hey, do you know so and so? I'm his cousin from Ontario."
It's crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
This is us finishing. This is us coming on the finish line. Yeah. So it was awesome.
You guys are never far apart, though, right? Like you never lose sight of each other. Is that the kind of plan?
Not really. No. I mean, you do, but not really. So that's I was talking to, that's Chris Lacey, the head of Cain's Quest, and amazing guy.
Yeah, that's very cool.
A lot of work. Well, just
what's his story? Like, why do you know why he started it? Like, what's his?
He didn't start it, and I'm sorry I can't give you the people who founded its names. But Chris had raced once, and I don't know. He just loves the race, and he's very passionate about it. Does a great job. The amount of money they have to raise just to put it on. I know they get support from some of the mines, Rio Tinto, and the government of the province. They get money, but it's a lot of work, and he doesn't get paid. Like it's a huge undertaking, but good people.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, it must be such a feeling to cross that finish line.
Oh.
And you wouldn't even care, like you said, you didn't make the cut, but you at least made it. Like that's more than what half the racers can say.
Yeah, that's our team. That's kind of everyone that on our side that help from Lab City, and then we had all the other help.
Yeah,
The
that's
rest of
right.
the province, you know.
Yeah, which is really critical. Like that's quite a small team to accomplish what you guys accomplished and the distance you went.
Yeah.
Yeah, good work.
So yeah, it was great.
Now, when you with your partner splitting off there, is he taking half that team, or how much of that is that a guy you're hoping to share some resources with?
We could. I don't know. You know, we're still a year and a half, not quite actually a year and a half out. I think you know you start to get after what happened last time is once you get into May, June, you've got to. I can't remember exactly, but sometime late spring, you've got to ante up for your registration.
Yeah.
And at that, you know, you got to have a team in mind, and then you got to start to get serious. A lot of people have started already. I know Sheldon's already started raising funds for his team in Labrador, and I'm sure other people have. And you know, it's it starts to get serious as our spring hits next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
And how, I think it was asked earlier, I think Mike asked it, is how long did it take you to do to come in ninth?
What was our overall time?
Yeah, your overall time, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. You know,
okay.
we left at I think 11:07 or 11:04, and we got in at on a Sunday, and then we had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at I think around 9:37 we got in. So, you know, so
Wow.
yeah.
That's wicked. I seen the mitts that the guy had in the back there. They'd be warm.
Yeah, Sheldon's got some big mitts. We had some great mitts from some hydro linesman's mitts, which are also very popular in this race, like hydro linesman mitts. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, those mitts, they're beautiful.
Yeah. Mike said that when you find people there from Labrador, are they actually from here, or are they actually Labrador residents?
There was some Ontario residents. Sarah, who's kind of second in command at Cains, she's actually from Port Hope. There are a bunch of Ontario people there. A lot of people from Newfoundland proper, the island, are in Lab City. You know, the biggest business is, of course, mining. Like in the areas there. So, you know, they got to bring in people from somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's what he was wondering, if there's people there that you can go and get help for your team, which you did, right? You met locals that actually helped you out.
Yeah. You know, that's where honestly the whole administration of Cain's Quest was an immense amount of help, of resource. And, you know, I wish I had not rented a hotel room, and, you know, we should have got an Airbnb like 6 months before or a year before, you know, and had a house for 2.5 weeks, or taking it for a month. It would have been cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, there was a bunch of expenses. It just wasn't, I was ignorant and didn't know. But the best resource is the office at Cain's Quest. Very helpful.
They are helpful, are they? That's great.
Yeah, very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. Did you want to shout out any sponsors or anything like that? Like, and also let people know how they follow you. You mentioned your wife runs your YouTube or social media. Do you know the channel names or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't really have too much social media. We had a MUSKOKA Extreme Facebook page, and you know what? I'm horrible at it. You know, it's I'd have to ask Mike how to do it. Mike, Acceleration Racing there. He's
He'll help you out.
fantastic. But
Yeah, he's good.
no, I can't say I do. I mean, I thank all our sponsors, which is, like I've said before, Yamaha Canada was great, and Gordon Bay Marine was our main supplier, and got our sleds up and running, and Royal was distributing was great, and Mike at Acceleration Racing, and the Unibond lighting, and all those guys were fantastic. But I have to say, honestly, my hat's off to the people of Labrador, and they were fantastic. It was just an overall fantastic experience.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I thank you for joining us tonight and sharing your story. Mike from Motorsport Channel said, "Great show, awesome to hear your story and how it works." That's what I was keen on hearing. It's very cool. The more I learn about it, the more it piques my interest. Especially knowing about the Baja races on the motorcycles and things like that, right? Yeah, pretty wild.
Well, it's like everything, that during COVID, it really was getting quite a following, and COVID really gave it a kick in the chops. Because in talking to them at the Snowmobile show this year, there was quite a bit of international interest again, which we didn't have at the race in 2024. So I suspect they're looking at quite a full roster, which will be interesting to have if they don't have 50 teams or close to 50 teams. It's going to be quite an event, to go to.
Yeah, no. Well, you know what? I commend you for 61 and still keeping the dream alive for us old farts. And I wish you all the best. And actually, before the 2026, maybe we can get back on here to talk about your new team and new sleds and everything like that you're working on.
All right. I really appreciate you giving me the time, and it's been a pleasure.
No, it totally has. And definitely, thank you so much. And we will see everybody next week here, and we'll stay in touch for sure, Chris.
All right. Thank you.
I think I've got a new friend.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
It's a journey for